Hello, welcome, Jeremy Schneider, to the Hotsheet. You are the director of photography and camera operator for so many shows, but some of the biggest competition reality shows in the planet: Survivor, Project Runway, Celebrity Apprentice, and Top Chef, and then the latest Taylor Sheridan iteration of the competition reality, The Last Cowboy, where horsemen compete for $1 million. So you've done a lot of competition shows and would love to launch from there and see what it's like to work on those shows because you're clearly the
Y
guy.
yeah, it's funny. I guess you could say I'm the guy, but I also, uh, there's some people that just do that, right? That I know started in that kind of genre, and that's all they do, and they're perfectly content just doing that. I was never content to just do that, so I like to, never keep my eggs in one basket. I'm kind of do everything. I think I'm creatively. I have a very like small attention span when it comes to creativity. I need to keep changing it up. But that said, yeah, like I've kind of touched all of those big ones, which is it's pretty great. That's kind of how I started in reality TV. Honestly, that's why I came to New York after being a staff DP at this little company in Florida for 10 years. My way into reality, and the reason I still have a job today, and why people know me in New York, is because of the Apprentice. I came here to do the Apprentice season 4, the original. Like that was the year that
Wow.
Martha Stewart came on, right? So they needed more operators all of a sudden. So I was able to kind of come in. Before that, just to go back a little bit, my first foray was on a show called The Contender
Oh yeah,
for Mark Burnett. It was a
yeah,
boxing competition show. It was
yeah.
huge. I
Great
mean, it
show.
was
Yeah,
wow, it
fun
was
show.
great. Yeah, I only did the first season when it was NBC, Sylvester Stallone, Sugar Ray Leonard. Like it was more money. They gave Mark Burnett so much money to make that show
Wow.
because he had Survivor and Apprentice
Yeah,
in full
Wow.
swing. Right, it was like
yeah.
I think season 5 maybe of Survivor, season 3 of Apprentice. Like NBC was like, yeah, whatever you want, take all our money, right? Just make
Yeah,
whatever you want. And of course, it didn't do well, but and not maybe. I mean, Sean, I'm glad that you know what it is, but
oh, it's a great show. Yeah, I loved it. They should bring it
yeah,
back. Actually, timing's
it would be
different now,
great.
right?
Like in today's
Yeah,
day and age, yeah, they should bring it back for sure. But like they could do something really cool with it. But it was that I made a lot of inroads in that world, and they actually wanted me to come do The Apprentice, but I was on staff, and I was like, I can't really do it. I have to go where my boss tells me. Cut to a year later, I was really ready to go to leave Florida and get up to New York. And the offer came in to do Apprentice, and I couldn't say no. I literally got the call. I asked my boss if I could do it. He's like, it doesn't really make financial sense for me. I said, I think I'm done here. It was that easy. It was one of the
that's
one of
great.
the easiest and most simple decisions I've ever made in my career. Where I watched him and the other bigwigs walk away from me. I was like, I can't have my life, my career determined by a committee. I want to make these decisions myself.
Yeah,
So yeah, so I literally went to the back room and called the line producer, said I'm in. Said great, see you in a couple weeks. I went to my boss and quit after 8 years, and like that was it. So yeah, so
Isn't it wild how like these decisions like that, that was just a gut decision that you made, but how it shapes your entire career. I mean, you did
yeah, yeah,
Apprentice and then from there you could pretty much do anything, that's
yeah. I mean that was the thing back then, right? And you have to think about the time. This is 2005, so season 4 of Apprentice. I come to New York, didn't know anybody, and I knew some of those people in that world, right? A lot of those Mark Burnett operators jump between all those shows, right? They do Survivor and a Contender, and whatever. So they're all kind of the same heavy hitters. But I was coming in as kind of a newbie, but it was back when it was 8 weeks long. They would put you up in housing in a really nice apartment, Upper East Side, and it was like just absolutely life changing overnight. Right,
that's
like I
great.
made more money in a week than I was making in a month down in Florida. It was just like, oh my god! And I met everybody in New York. Right on a show like that,
Yeah.
it's like it's a. I think the crew is 300 people. I mean, it's the size of
Wow.
a film set, right? So
Jeez.
wow.
because they were billing me, and they had they had art department and sound and like these full departments. So it really was everybody. And then not just that, but also, I mean, he would bring in people, shears from Hawaii and South Africa and Australia. It was just again, they had all the money, so they just traveled everybody in. He wanted his people. And luckily I was in enough of that inner sanctum. Like I was on the list. I kind of made the list, so I was able to come in. But that
You're
was it.
so on
I
the
mean,
list. You're like the most booked director of photography I've ever met. Every time I've called you, you're like, "Oh, I'm booked," and then I've got like a day here, a day available there, and you were
yeah.
literally the most booked guy I've ever met.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like I don't always feel that way, but I know that that's the perception because I hear that from a lot of people too. Like, oh, I didn't call you because I assumed you were booked. I'm like, yeah, but sometimes, sometimes I'm not. But it does seem like everything fills in. It's like even this, right? I thought, oh, when you asked me to do this podcast, I'm like, oh yeah, fine. Like I don't have anything going on that week. I had 2 days that I just finished up, and then I leave tomorrow for an 8-week show. And it's like, all right, well, good. I'm glad this Friday just happened to be like the perfect day. But that's just it just happened. It's just organic. But yeah, that apprentice was really, um, like it's a whole different thing now. But like then it was like I'll always have a soft spot in my heart for that show and for any like even like for Trump. It's like okay, well it's the place like that. I would go in the Trump Tower and that was my office and I was like, this is. I go up that escalator, that famous escalator to get to
Yeah,
work.
yeah, yeah.
Our offices were right, like the whole production offices were right at the top of that escalator. So it's like that was just it has this weird connotation for me. It's like that's what got me to New York. That's what got me where I am today, right? Really, it was that first job. I met enough
What a
people that I just
great
started doing
way
intros. It's
what a
wild.
great way to start your career in reality
Yeah.
TV, or because you were doing news before that, right? Were you doing, or what
Well,
was it exactly?
I started in news when I was I was literally in college. I was an intern at this local ABC affiliate in Milwaukee, just being their editing intern way before nonlinear. So this was like the old A/B decks where you like punch in time code and you have your A deck and your B deck and you'd be like, ooh, and the tape would rewind and like get you to the time code. You'd be splicing these news stories together. And news director screaming over my shoulder. I was this 19-year-old kid, like, what? I'm like trying to get these tapes furiously cut before the newscast. Anyway, they liked me and they were like, come get a job. When you graduate, just come get a job. We'll hire you in an instant. So they did, and they knew I wanted to shoot. So I mean, literally crash course, put a camera on my shoulder, said, this is how you focus, this is how you press record, right? This is how you zoom. And that was it. And they kind of like, I shadowed a guy for maybe one day and then was just kind of off to the races. They left me to my own devices. They gave me a company car and I was like with my little CB radio, so you can talk to the front desk and they'll be like, there's a fire at, 10th and Madison, go get them. Like, that was it. I go cover all this stuff. I had a little lighting kit. I had a little audio kit. I had no idea how to mic people up. Like, it was just, what they let me do was ridiculous when I think about it. They just kind of set me loose. I was just like, I think I was 21 at the time. So 20 when I interned and 21. And it's just like, I don't know what I'm doing. But it was like the best film school. Because I did like a film school. I went to University of Wisconsin-Madison. And it was a decent film program, mostly theory, right? So not a ton of hands-on stuff. And it was the hands-on stuff was all like old ancient film cameras and like nothing that had anything to do with the reality of film sets at the time. Like they didn't teach you how to make movies and how to be on a set, how to really operate modern cameras. Digital video didn't exist at the time. So, but that films, I mean, it was like real film school. You go out there and I just had to create, and I had to. And because I already knew how to edit, I was like editing in my head. I had to make sure I got all my coverage. I mean, I taught the students, and again, we'll get into it, but like the students it's like, you need to understand when you're out there, you shoot for the edit, right? So I understood that very, very quickly, very early on in my career, how to make sure you get your coverage, what cutaways are, right? What wide shots are, how to shoot and frame interviews, right? Even if it's like just you're just grabbing someone on the doorstep. And also I learned empathy, right? I mean, I'm working with people who were victims of crimes, or you know, you knock on their front door, their son, you know, just committed murder, and when, like, you know, it's just like all these, like, you catch people in their, like, in their worst moments, and and it I really didn't want it to feel exploitative, you know, because I think it can be, certainly in the news, right? We're just trying to get in someone's face.
Yeah.
Um, but I saw it as like, I'm really capturing real people doing real things, and this is like, you know, I learned the power of the camera, right? It's like, wow, you're telling stories, but also like, look, I'm kind of creating what people are going to see. You know, it's like, how is the story told? Especially since I went back to the edit bay and was cutting it. So I mean, in that year and a half
Yeah.
I was shooting news, I learned
Do you miss
way
the
more than
news
I
at
ever
all?
did. I can't say I missed it. I mean, I left because the pace was crazy, right? It was not, and it's a little soul crushing, you know? I mean, I saw so much gnarly stuff as, you know, again, as a 21-year-old, you know, like triple homicides and arsons and all this stuff. Like, just this terrible, and
Right.
then you
You're
do
running to
stuff.
the fire all the time. So
Yeah, like, we're going
these,
to bad things, right? We're
yeah.
going in the direction of bad things. Um, and yeah, there were fluff pieces and whatnot, but there was no real art. And that's what, like, I was a young, like, film student. I was like, I want to make movies,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
I want to do the real thing. And all the old salts who have been doing this for years were like, get out, kid, get out while you still can. I mean, these guys were probably 40 years old. I thought they were ancient. They're like, if you don't get out now, you're never going to get out. You're going to be doing what we're doing in 20
Yeah.
years. I'm like, okay, good point taken. I'm not going to stay here and do this. So yeah,
Yeah.
so then I got out of it. So I don't, yeah, I, I, I do miss that, like, that real kind of scrappiness.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's something, right, where you're just out there and you kind of one man banding it, but I mean, I don't know. I miss it and
What?
I don't, because also, like, I like
Yeah.
the support, right? I'm
Yeah.
too old to really be doing that. I'm kind of like, I like having ACs, and I like having real lighting and real support in the budget, you know?
When you were in film school, did you put together any short films or any projects there that
Oh
you?
yeah, they're terrible.
Okay.
Terrible. We'll
Okay.
never see the light of day.
Yeah. Do you ever want to get in and maybe bring one of those back to life now that you know what you know, and revisit that,
Yeah.
or?
Yeah, actually, I mean, the ones I did in film school are really pretty awful. But because I really just learned, like, non-reflex cameras, like, it was this whole, there were all these tricky old school 16 millimeter cameras. So like, it wasn't, I learned so little. But later when I was in Florida, I moved there to kind of start my like, you know, film life. I made a couple of shorts and wrote a couple of short scripts that I'm still like, I think about actually going back and trying to
Oh,
make
fun.
one better. And then there's another one I never ended up actually creating. Like, I have a script for it, um, the horror script. So, and like, you know, now's the time to make horror movies. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like it's
Yeah.
the only
Yeah. Yeah.
viable, you know, movie genre out there right now. It's the
Yeah.
only thing that's still making money.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's interesting. I really, there's actually a guy who I went to school with just emailed me, like, out of the blue, saying, "Hey, I was in one of your short films in film school. I haven't seen you
Wow.
in whatever 30 years or whatever." He's like, "I never got to see it. Like, did you ever finish it? Could you send me
No.
a copy?" So it's funny you say that, Sean, because I'm like, I literally have not really thought about those movies at all, and I'm like, I have to, like, get an old VHS player and put, because that's, I
Yeah.
have it on
I was
VHS,
gonna
so it's all I
say,
got.
I was gonna,
Eh,
I was gonna
eh,
say
Like,
my student film is on VHS, like in the
yeah,
basement somewhere, you know, like you,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
don't even have you. I mean, do you still have a VHS player,
I
or
actually, I did keep one
you
specifically
did?
for that purpose. It's
I'll
it's
bring my
somewhere
film
it's
over to
somewhere
your
in the
house.
office.
I'll
Yeah,
bring
yeah,
my
yeah.
film over. We'll have a little film party.
I love that. Yeah, it's like good and bad to rewatch that stuff, right? You're like, oh, I know, that'd be interesting to see where I was at that time, and then you watch it. I think I would be mortified. but
Yeah,
it was
hopefully
fun.
that guy's not looking to use that on his reel, for his
No,
for
I
his
think he's like a
acting.
banker or something. I looked him up. I was
Okay.
like, oh yeah, he's just like some finance guy. But he just it's been on him. They're like, you know what? I was in this guy's movie because I would just cast. I would either cast guys on my floor or I knew a few people like in the theater department who were like, oh yeah, we have some young actors who just like they just want a break, not even a break. I'm not giving them a break, but it's like oh they want some more experience. Just like they'll
Yeah,
do
they want
little
some
short
tape,
films
that sort of
and
thing.
they'll do it for free whenever.
Yeah.
I feel bad that the guy never saw it if he was an aspiring actor, but clearly, I don't think that was the thing that made him not an actor.
Well,
It was
now
all
he's a banker and he can
he's a
he
banker.
can fund the reboot. There you
There,
go.
there it is.
There you
There it
You
go.
know,
is. You're right. It's always working the angles. That's like
get him a
make sure keep
copy.
those
Get him a
relationships
copy.
going in. Yeah, yeah. That's smart.
And then
So
on that tape that you give him, just have a little QR code to the GoFundMe for the reboot.
See, I like the way you think, Sean. This is
Yeah.
business. I like it.
yeah, maybe Sean, maybe you should be an exec of TV exec.
Yeah, really.
Oh wait, you
Uh,
are. I forgot. Yeah. um. So
Yes.
from The Apprentice though, like what was that like? Because that's pretty. You were on it pretty early. That's like, I mean, that's like the
Yeah.
iconic show.
Season 4, right? Season 4 was. I didn't know it was early at the time. I mean, who knows? You get
yeah.
on those shows, and you're like, oh, been on for a while. It's probably almost over.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all thought reality TV was not going to last. Um, yeah, I mean, I didn't. There was a brief time where kind of being in the Bravo world was the thing, right? I did a lot, and Jen, you and I, the company that we worked for a lot, left, right. I did some stuff through them, but mostly it was, yeah, it was a lot of Bravo. I can't remember how I even got in. Again, line producer. It was somebody I knew from The Apprentice, right? It's like it just becomes that word of mouth, and then it's like, who I friend of a friend, and whatever, and then they just start recommending it, and it just snowballs, right? So, cut to a couple of years later, right? I had kind of never stopped working in New York. I mean, really, since Apprentice 4, I never stopped, and I did 4 or 5 more seasons, a couple more seasons of regular Apprentice, and then I think 2 or 3 seasons of the Celebrity Apprentice.
Wow.
So, and I got to the point where I think 3 seasons in a row I turned them down. They were coming to get me, which feels like such a privilege. It's
Yeah.
like I was like, no, I want to do. I'm not available. I wasn't available. I was doing other stuff, but
You're booked. See, Jeremy's always booked.
but I had specifically shifted myself away from the big competition reality shows. And and I did Project Runway. That was I forget, again, just a friend of a friend got in, and then the next season they're like, hey, we want you, but you have to join the union. They're great. So they got me in, they grandfathered me in and got me in cheap. And then I did, right. Then once you're in that world, that Project Runway world is a whole nother thing where it's like a lot of kind of transfers over from Apprentice. So a lot of kind of crossover there. But then a lot of other new people that were just in that kind of magical elves. That was magical elves at the time in that world. And Project Runway was also not Spring Chicken. I mean, it had been going on for a while. So there were a lot
That was a big reality company, Magical Elves, right?
of
Just
magical
for,
elves. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And then did one season with them, and then one season when they went to Bean and Murray. So I did a season of that. Joined the union. Got on that. Did Next Top Model. And it was here. The last season it was in New York. And then, yeah, I mean, it was kind of like I was making this transition into wanting to DP more. And it was much fun. I mean, it was like summer camp every time on these shows. It was like once you do one, especially Apprentice, it was like everyone comes back. It's like, hey, my buddies, or whatever. You start seeing the same people, and you feel like you're part of the club, right? Like oh yeah, I'm on the list, and I'm like not one of the cool kids. I'm on the show, and it felt good. And all those shows kind of have the same real camaraderie, right? Where it's like everyone's just kind of hanging out, and and you work hard, but then we play hard, and it's like you just kind of show up to work every day, and it was nice, right? And they're always 8 weeks, so you have this a little bit of stability, and the pay was good. So like it was just kind of the real like it was those the salad years. I mean, it's like man, show after show. But I actively kind of stepped away from it because I really wanted to DP more, and I wanted to do more of the shows like Left Right was doing.
And
That
just
was
for
big.
those that don't know what a DP is,
Mm,
it's
yeah, a director of photography.
yes.
Yes, yeah. So
So
I'm kind
you
of the
yeah.
yeah, like head
So
of the
you
camera department and lighting department.
were you
Yeah,
thinking like you wanted to do more story type of stuff versus like a competition, or like
yeah,
what was that creative itch that you had to scratch basically?
yeah. It was really I wanted to have to bring more to the table. I wanted to have you know, kind of a bigger stake in these shows and be more part of the creative process. Right. I mean, again, it's fun being on the competition shows, but you are kind of a cog in the wheel of this machine. And it's not how I'm built. Again, I know a lot of operators are like operators I love and respect who that's what they do, right? And they're still to this day like knocking out those Bravo competition shows. There's nothing wrong with that. Like that's completely viable. I wanted to create, and I yes, tell stories. It's a little different in reality TV, as you know, Jen. It's like, yeah, we're creating stories. It's also like, you know, as a DP, I'm kind of helping the showrunner or the director to craft the story from a visual perspective, right? So I don't get to write scripts, and I'm not necessarily working with the talent to like develop the story, but I work with the producers and the directors and the showrunners to help kind of bring that vision to life, right, and tell that story through the lens. So yeah, it was all that, right? I wanted to be more, I
Involved.
aspired to be a director when I got into the business. Like that was a movie director. So like
Yeah.
I always knew I also kind of wanted to be the boss. Like I knew, yeah, like I knew I had it in me, and like I liked being the head of a department and having that responsibility without having to be the showrunner, without having to be
Yeah.
an
Yeah. Yeah.
executive. Like I could be a
Yeah.
creative head of department and kind of be the boss of my world and my people and my like I'm really good at doing my job. I don't want to have to deal with the other thing, but I'm also good at like being a diplomat and managing up, right? Like I can deal with executives and directors and a bunch of big personalities and be the kind of the conduit and the kind of the firewall between the higher ups and all that kind of toxicity and my crew, right? I can kind of protect them a little bit and be like, all right, it filters through me. And I like all that stuff. Like that was all very appealing to me. So on
Well, I was
top of the
gonna
creative, it was,
say,
just all of that.
yeah, I mean, I think that's like I love what you were saying about like there's different type of operators and directors of photography out there, because some are very extremely technical and really care about the look. I mean, everybody cares about the look, of course, but like there are some camera guys that I've encountered that are much more invested in the story and the process and connecting with the characters.
Yeah.
And I would definitely put you in that bucket. Like you've always been like a storyteller, like a real collaborator, like somebody who you're not just invested in how it looks, but like like what's happening on screen. And so I can, and that's the wonderful thing of working with you, is you've always been a wonderful collaborator, somebody that I could rely on. Like, Jeremy, was that any good, or should we get more of this or that? And you were always just had some clear thoughts about the story. So that makes sense that you would want to go beyond just the technical parts of the job and be more in
Yeah.
charge of, or have influence over the story. Like that's a wonderful gift that you have. That's
Yeah.
you bring that to the table. You
Did you
bring
ever
it,
do any
Jeremy.
did you ever do any producer shooter gigs? Like
Oh yeah.
when that
Yeah.
role
Yeah.
came around, I know a lot of people didn't like that role when it first was kind of
Yeah.
introduced to
Cause
the world.
I think the biggest problem with her was always like, you can't do both things 100%, right? I always like to bring everything to the job, right? I want to, like, I'm showing up and I'm going to show up 100%. And as a producer, like, at least back in the day, I think, we're all, we've all been through it. And that was like those HGTV kind of like, oh, well, we're doing a renovation show. We need to have overnight producers, right? So then I'm suddenly teaching producers how to shoot on EX3 or something, these like little shitty cameras we used to have. Um, and yeah, like, they weren't good shooters. They might be decent producers, but they're not good shooters. And or you're a really good shooter, and it's like, I can kind of figure things out, but I'm not. So there was never. I don't think it's hard to find that person who's like really good at both things.
It's
So
true.
that was
Yeah.
always my problem with that role. But I think it. Right, there's different. I think there's different iterations of that kind of HGTV thing where it was like, oh, just a young scrappy field producer who like, hey, I'll do overnights. Like, okay, here's a camera. Versus like I did probably the hardest show I ever did and most rewarding was when I went to Antarctica for Nat Geo for
Yeah.
8 weeks, and I was embedded with scientists for 8 weeks, and that was a one-man band. So I mean, not to shoot a producer, but I mean, I was really directing people, and I had gimbals and time lapse rigs. Like, we weren't just spraying and praying. It was like you had to create a story and create this epic, amazing look into Antarctica and make it look beautiful.
Yeah.
So,
That's
but
so
I
cool.
had 8 talent, right? Like 8 scientists who had never been on TV, and they were kind of like, they didn't really want to be on TV. That's not why they came down here. They're real climate scientists, and they wanted to come do science. So, and then I also had to do audio and figure out how to, like, they're wearing like 5 layers. Where do I put the mic every day? And then who do I decide to cover today? I have all these different story points I want to hit. So today I'm going to concentrate at least 2 in the morning and transfer it to. So constant decisions. And then you're dealing with the crazy extreme temperatures and the conditions. We're sleeping in tents. It was 24 hours of daylight. So it was just like, I mean, I was absolutely crazy by the end. It was like getting 2 hours of sleep a night. Just like, I'm
Yeah.
downloading footage. I'm doing hot sheets, right? I'm sending stuff back
Yeah.
Hot
every
sheets.
couple of weeks. Hot sheets.
Hot
Every couple of
sheets.
weeks, I go back to base and like have to upload everything to the States. Yeah, we had a showrunner
Wait,
back in New
what
York.
kind of what camera guy does hot sheets? That's crazy. That's a
It was
producer's job.
everything, Jen. But that's what I'm saying. Like, this was the most challenging. I literally had to do every job, and that's the extreme version of a producer shooter. But it
Yeah.
is, right, Sean. Your
Yeah.
point, like,
Oh, it's
right? It's
yeah.
not. That's a shooter producer. I think that the way you were talking about, right? That,
Yeah.
yeah, those kind of roles come out where it's like, oh, well, we don't really have the budget to have all the roles, so we're just gonna have somebody who can kind of do it all. I try not to do that just because
Yeah.
I don't know. I like support. I like
Yeah.
having an AC. I like having audio.
Yeah.
I try to not. I certainly don't specialize in that, but I do produce. I have a kind of a producer's brain and a director's brain, so I can do more than just like Jen's saying. Like, I kind of help myself. I just will direct and produce. Usually, like, in collaboration. I'm never trying to step on a director's or producer's toes. It's always that, collaboration. Like, oh,
Yeah.
how can we make this, how can we together make this a better story, or tell this story? And I better. It's like, the producer comes with their vision, and I try to make it happen.
Yeah. I was
Um,
going to say one little fun nugget. One thing that I've learned doing this podcast, all the hard work that goes into doing a hot sheet, as you've learned. So many of these executives are like, what's a hot sheet? Or I don't look at hot sheets. I don't use hot sheets. It's
that's
like
crazy. Yeah. It's so
all the effort
frustrating.
that goes
Like,
into putting those together,
yeah. Like, what am I doing this for? And I understood in that situation why they needed them, right? Because there's no one there. It's so remote that the only information that the showrunner was getting was just what was in my hot sheets, right? So, and there's so much footage. We're just shooting so much that it was, Yeah,
I mean,
if there wasn't something, if I wasn't keeping track of it, it was never, they would
well,
never,
that's the
editors would never
thing.
find
Like,
anything. Yeah,
I actually kind of loved Hotsheets. That's why I love the name of this podcast because, like, I'm a weirdo. I liked doing Hotsheets because at the end of the day, you were able to just kind of reflect on what you shot and write it down and think
yeah,
about in your head, did we get this? Did we get this? Was this good enough? And
yeah,
it helps you kind of like a diary, like just go through the day, write down the scenes, write down the characters, and then it informs you what you need to get next. So I kind of liked doing the hot sheets as long as I didn't have to do them at the end of like a 15-hour day. I could like do it like the next day or something. But I always
yeah.
found kind of joy in writing the hot sheets. I know, Sean, you feel differently.
Yeah, I feel
Sean's
very
like,
different because it's like it's always a 15-hour day, right? And so
Yeah,
uh
yeah,
and then you're investing another hour and a half, sometimes too into that hot sheet, and then you got
yeah.
to go to bed and do it all over the next day.
yeah, yeah. I guess, and that's where the resentment comes in, where it's like, wait, why did I stay up an extra 2 hours after my 15-hour shift
Yeah,
just to do something that
yeah.
no one's gonna read? Like, what are you talking about? Yeah,
Yeah,
those are
exactly.
rough days back then. It was just expected that we're doing 14 to 16-hour days. Yeah,
So,
crazy.
but speaking of reality, you were saying like your career kind of, was you were part of this reality wave. And I think, like you and I and, Sean, like we've tried to find other storytelling avenues, like because reality, it can be harsh. Like it's just a harsh,
Yeah,
long days and, just all the discord and it's hard. But you said something interesting that you didn't think it was gonna last, like, nobody thought it was gonna last. Like, what what do you
yeah,
remember about, like? Because it surely didn't go anywhere.
yeah. I think, I mean, I go way back to, right, the granddaddy of them all, Survivor. My my boss, the company I worked for in Florida for 10 years, he was the original DP, the original director of photography for
Oh,
Survivor.
wow.
So
Okay.
he knew Burnett from way back. He'd done Eco Challenge. So I remember, remember when he left and came back and said, "Yeah, I'm going to go do this show." Everyone's just, they're sleeping in tents and they're going to an island and some kind of they're going to compete, and it all
Right.
just sounded so silly. And he got back, and it sounded even sillier the way he talked about it. When he got back, it's like because the whole crew just slept on the beach. It was
Wow.
like there's no
Right.
money. They were just like, and they were just eating like this just garbage food. It was just terrible. And then it became a massive hit. And season two, suddenly there were whole base camps, and they had all this money. But like even then, I remember thinking, well, this isn't really a thing. And I did a show, a weird show. It was the exact same format for A&E called House of Dreams. That was my very first reality show with George Wendt as host. No one ever saw it. But it was like the same exact format as Survivor, but everyone builds a house and you
There
get
were so many
picked out.
copycat Survivor
So many
shows.
copycats.
Yeah.
But even that, I was like, this is. I mean, so this is a trend, and everyone's just gonna like do the same thing as Survivor and find different ways to do Survivor, and then like, and it just, I don't know. I maybe it was just kind of self defense. Like, oh, I should just. I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna assume that this isn't gonna last forever. So like, I should think about other things. Um,
Get a real
I
job.
don't. Yeah, like I don't. But not that I did. Like I never really tried. It just kept going. So I'm like, I'm just gonna keep riding the wave. But I think and I've talked to other people who are like, yeah, just waiting for the bomb to drop out. Yeah, just waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like whatever analogy you want to use, or euphemism you want to use. It was like, yeah, this is probably not going to last. It's just it was always the mindset. I don't know why we would always say that, and then
Hmm.
and then some new kind of reality show will come out. Right as soon as you think, I mean, and I will say that like some yes, some genres, right, and some subgenres of reality have come and gone. Right, the Honey Boo Boos of the world, and
Yeah.
all these kinds of shows like the TLC at a time had everything, right? They had so many shows, and now they're kind of gone. The survival shows that we'll talk about, all that genre is almost completely dead. Kind of the only thing that's really left now are the Bravo shows and the Housewives franchises and stuff like that. But even then, I thought there's no way. Who wants to watch this stuff?
Yeah.
And I did
Well,
Housewives. I was like,
I
I did
mean,
season 4 of Housewives, and I was thinking then, I was like, it's probably over. Thinking around, I don't know, 18 now. Like, it's crazy.
well,
Yeah.
it's kind of amazing that we've been in this business long enough where we've seen like the boom of reality and then
Yeah,
like trying everything and experimenting with just any random idea that you could think of. And then now it's sort of sifted through and the competition reality shows have lasted, the housewives and the relationship shows have lasted, the dating shows have lasted, but
yeah,
it's true. A lot of funky stuff that we did doesn't exist anymore. There's a lot of one
yeah,
season wonders out there.
yeah. I don't really know how to explain that. Like, I guess that's just evolving tastes. I mean, it's not that surprising that audience tastes are going to change. But it's yeah, I'm surprised that the ones that have lasted. I guess I'm surprised at the Bravo kind of,
Right.
and they just keep kind of making them. They keep spin-offs of the
Like
same kind of
MILF
like,
Manor on TL or something
yeah,
like,
yeah,
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, that sounds
Yeah.
right. But even like, the summer. I mean, I did a season of Summer House, which is, a lesser known. I mean, I'm sure some people listen to the podcast know the show. It was fairly big, but they did a Winter House, and now they're doing I think it's called The City, which is the Summer House cast in New York. Instead of they used to be on the weekends in the Hamptons. Now they're like, oh, what do we do during the week when we're not at the Hamptons? Fake reality house. I guess I'm surprised and not surprised that that's the genre that kind of lasted longer than anyone else.
Yeah.
And now all those, yeah, all those folks that I was talking about that were just kind of shooting big competition shows and shooting Bravo shows over and over, like they're the ones that are working consistently. So
That's
there's
true.
something there, something there.
Yeah.
Bravo has found the magic formula.
Yeah.
But
Um,
tell us about The Last Cowboy. I'm so curious about that
mm,
because I'm fascinated and slash obsessed with Taylor Sheridan's y- Yellowstone world and the cowboy craze and just how he's literally sort of brought back the Western genre and, made it cowboys cool again. And then of course, because competition reality shows work, you can give it, put any any
yeah,
genre, apply any genre to that format, and there you go, and you've got The Last Cowboy.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, Last Cowboy is an interesting mix because, well, yeah, it's a as hard as a competition show. It's not. Yeah, this is a weird one, right? It's like not the competition show in the way that Survivor is, Apprentice, right? Where it's like you're pitting people against each other, and it's like these kind of
It's
fake
not like
stakes.
malicious, right?
Yeah, and also like there's artifice there, right? And just in terms of, right, these are real people, obviously, but you're you're creating this scenario where it's like, here's $1 million, and we're all gonna put people together who would never be together, and they're gonna do a bunch of stuff they would never actually do, right? The Last Cowboy, these are real cowboys. They've been doing this competition like for decades, for generations, and this is just thing now it happens to, because of Taylor Sheridan, suddenly has exposure. So this is something they would be doing regardless, right?
Yeah.
It is, so in that way it's more
With
of a
or
sport.
without $1 million, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
But it's
that's
absolutely
amazing.
transformed the industry. It's a sport, right? It's more like a sport, but it is a sporting event, so it's more of kind of a sport competition show. Now, again, this whole thing existed, this whole culture existed. They were doing all these little competitions, but it's more like imagine like a kind of a rodeo, state fair, like it
Yeah.
was kind of the only people who would show up in the stands were like real hardcore cowboy fans, or the families or whatever. And you just, there's rows and rows of stables and it just smells like horse manure. And there's, maybe some sponsors are in there that are very specific cowboy, like boot sponsors and stuff. And, you have some food trucks or something like that. Like it's very small level. And like that was all good. And their prize money was okay. But all these cowboys say you don't get rich being a cowboy. Like you go on these competitions, it would cost them money to go, right? You have to
Oh, wow.
sign up for it. It's an entrance fee. You have to you have to trailer your horses and drive across country. So it's a big deal. But they would just do it
For the
year
love.
round, right? And when they
Yeah.
weren't doing that, they're back at their ranches, their modest ranches, training horses, right? Um, and then Taylor came in, and he knew about this thing because I will give it to Taylor Sheridan. He's not. Yeah, look, he's the Hollywood actor. He's a prolific director, producer, right? We all know this guy. Like he's Yellowstone, the two spinoffs, Tulsa King, Mayor of Kingstown, Landman. I mean,
Oh my god,
he
Landman's
wrote,
so good.
yeah, he wrote Sicario, right? He wrote and directed Hell or High Water, got Oscars for that. Like the he's Hollywood elite,
Yeah.
and yet he lives way out, went to his ranch in Jackson Hole. Like he has horses. He owns and operates the third largest ranch in Texas. And he does it. Like we went to his ranch at 3 o'clock in the morning with all those other cowboys, and they had a cattle drive miles and miles and miles. We
Whoa.
shot the whole thing, of course, but like real cattle, and they had to basically brand, castrate, and like separate all these cows. Like it was just another day, right? This is what we're doing today. And he was in there
Wow.
roping cattle, branding them, castrating them, doing the whole thing, right? It's just a thing, right? It sounds terrible, but it's like it's just that's what they do, right?
Yeah.
And then it's all just a business. But he's a real cowboy, and the guy can ride a horse like nobody's business. Like he's really into this world. So
Wow.
I think
I love
making
that.
Yellowstone for him was like this
Yeah.
was a real passion project. He really loves that whole world. Obviously, had to make it. He had to dramatize it and make bad
Yeah.
guys and good guys and all that stuff. But in the first season, I think episode 3, he had these real reigners, real people, come in and do this thing where they slide their horses, right? And he made a whole scene about this this kind of unknown horse sport and made it into a fun scene. But people watched that and were like, what was that? Wait, who are those people that were on horses? They're like, got the horses at full speed and slid them to a stop. They're
Yeah.
spinning around. Like he brought that in there. I think he knew all these people and knew because he is a real cowboy, he would go to these events. And then he started getting trained. He wanted to know how to do some of that stuff. And yeah, lo and behold, he's like, oh, let me just make a show out of it. All right. I mean, he's in a position where Paramount will give him anything, right? He's had successful
Yeah.
shows. At that point, had a few successful shows. He was an Oscar-winning director, writer. Like, of course, they're going to let him make a competition show. So he didn't create the sport, didn't create the world, but he created a competition and raised the stakes and made it as a reality show. But it's like the reality show and the competition kind of like it's like what came first? Like art created reality. It's this weird blend, right? Because it's like it's kind of like art versus reality. Like he made this competition out of thin air, and now in reality it has become the biggest competition in reining, even if there weren't cameras there at this point, right?
Wow.
it the Run
Wow.
for a Million, it's the competition now at the end of the season is called the Run for a Million, and he's based the entire show around that, of course. But he changed all these other competitions that they would have. He now made them qualifiers for the Run for.
Oh,
So
wow.
Wow.
he's
That's
come in.
cool.
He has enough clout to come in and be like, you know what, your horse competition, your cute little horse competition shows, it's great, but I'm going to make it bigger and make the stakes higher and make all the best reiners come here, so they have to qualify for the big show at the end, the Run for a Million. And now it's again like it's become this thing. It sells out. It's in Las Vegas. It sells out in like 10 minutes, and people come from all around. They travel in from Europe and Australia and whatever. Like it's crazy. So this would
Yeah.
exist.
Wow.
It wouldn't exist without the show. But if the show didn't exist anymore, it would still go on because now it has become the event for all of these cowboys because now they can make real money all of a
Yeah.
sudden. And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
now it's brought so much more, so many more eyes to their world. So the sponsors are bigger. It's now up the purses because now like, well, if it's going to be worth it for the best riders to go to a competition, you have to put out some money. So all the other competitions have tried to raise.
Oh,
It's just
wow.
amazing. What I mean, like that one guy could come in and have that exert that much influence over a sport. He's absolutely transformed it and over a world and over a culture, right? And then on top of it, Jen, like you're saying, he is almost single-handedly brought cowboy culture to the mainstream.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It brought it back.
Yeah,
I would say,
Totally. Yeah.
sure.
it existed, but he really put it back. I mean, he brings back this sort of romanticized, gritty portrayal of the American landscape and made it like cool
Right.
and fun. Like that is super Americana, and everyone just said yes. Like
Yeah.
I love this. This is
Yeah.
this the
It,
Western culture is a deep American identity, and he's like tapped into that through storytelling. With
yeah.
Yellowstone. But then I mean I dare to say, like, if did Beyonce and her Cowboy Carter and Post Malone getting into country, did Taylor Sheridan affect these other cultural inspirations as well? Like this cowboy, he kind of ignited this cowboy culture. I think. I mean, right? Like it's
Yeah.
all tied together.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I haven't certainly haven't talked to Taylor specifically about that. I don't know if he's ever taken credit for it. He's also
Yeah.
not. He's an interesting guy because he is very humble in this cowboy way. Like it is talking about the story. And a little bit of a side note, like trying to get any kind of drama out of a show like that. Our inspiration a couple seasons ago, the showrunner was like, "We're gonna make it like F1 Drive to Survive, right? Like we want to
Okay.
shoot it like that and have the stakes." And it's like the stakes are lower, but also these are not cowboys are not dramatic. They're all so humble, and it's like, well, I won the big deal, but it was just my lucky day, and it's gonna be someone else's lucky day tomorrow. I mean, there's no drama, no one hates one another. Like they're all just friends or at least friendly to each other. It's this weird little like community that's so like kind and generous and humble, and Taylor's is part of that. Right. So he is a kind of a humble, quiet guy. Um, that said, he's also wildly successful and an actor. So, right. So he kind of crosses both of them, and he definitely, he can, yeah, and he deserves to have a little bit of an ego. It's fine. Like he's done a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
He's done a
but
lot. Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know that he would ever admit, like, yeah, I definitely influenced, Beyonce and Post Malone. I don't know that he would ever go
Well,
that
he might
far.
not
Yeah.
take credit for
But
it, but he
yeah,
definitely, it seems that the
I
timing is such that, Yellowstone came out, it was a big deal, and then all of a sudden it was like cowboy everything. Like
yeah
even Pharrell has like a Louis Vuitton like Western line, like
yeah
Pharrell's wearing cowboy boots now.
yeah
And
yeah.
so it just seems like everywhere. I mean, I love it. Honestly, I am a cowgirl. Like I grew up in Northern California on a ranch, and
Oh yeah.
when I got married, I told my husband, like, that's great as long as I get to wear my cowgirl boots with my dress. Like it was all about
Yeah,
whatever the dress had to go with the boots.
yeah, yeah. I love that.
So
Yeah, and it's funny. It's like in a way that yes, there've been Western movies, right? There's kind of been there was a little bit of a resurgence of Western movies. When Forgiven came out, and
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
and, and
Country for old men.
Tombstone. Yeah, like, but like the old westerns, but that never really moved the needle the way that Yellowstone did, and then
Yeah,
all
yeah.
his subsequent shows. And honestly, the Cowboys every single season, we every time we interview the Cowboys, this question comes up, and we talk about it, and they all say the same thing: that talk about cowboy culture and how like they now walk down the street and they get stopped for autographs. I mean, that's they
Wow.
suddenly have become celebrities, and that just in general, that Taylor they all pretty much to a one credit Taylor with bringing cowboy culture back. So I think that's a real thing.
That's incredible.
Yeah, yeah.
What
That's
how much
I
something.
did you
would.
know about that sport before you did this show?
Oh, nothing,
Yeah,
nothing.
that's
I knew nothing about reining. I mean, it's still like most people. I have to try to explain it to them and trying to figure out like it's kind of like ballet with horses. Like I don't really know how to explain it because everyone's like, "Oh, is it like a rodeo?" No, no,
Is
yeah,
that what it's called? Reining? It's called
it's called
reining.
reining.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're reining a horse, and now we do something called cow horse and what is it? Cow horse and cutters. But all these disciplines, even the reining is much more showy, but it all stems from things that real cowboys did, right? These are things that cowboys had to do on their horses to, like, if they're on a ranch and have to get cattle going to a certain place, they had to maneuver their horse in certain ways. And then some of it was just like, bunch of cowboys sitting around the fire, with some whiskey, saying, how many spins I can do on my horse? Like, yeah, yeah, I can spin more than that. Watch me, right? It's like
Yeah, yeah,
that's literally it's a
yeah.
combination of those two things. So literally, I mean, they take a horse and they spin it,
Wow.
but it has to be 3.5 spins. It has to be exactly right, and they stop on a dime,
Yeah.
and then you spin the other way and stop on a dime, and then you're like doing these circles, right, with the horse. Right? But it's all about the horse. It's really interesting. It's like the horse and cowboy, kind of silent language. And they go on a full gallop and then skid to a stop. But it's all like form and all these points. It's a crazy system of
How do they train that thing to
points.
stop like that? Like, what are they doing? Have you seen that yet?
Just yeah, I mean, this repetition. It's crazy. I mean, now
Yeah.
it is. It's gotten to the point now where because reign's been around for a while, they breed these horses specifically, and that's a whole other side
Oh,
of that business, is right, is
Yeah.
horse breeding. That's kind of where a lot of these cowboys actually make their money. If you have a winning horse, then that horse, right, is in high demand. So like they do a lot of breeding with the both the
Stud
mares
horse.
and the studs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now they breed these horses, and it's like some of the best of the best, like the best mares and the best studs. So these horses are just like, I mean, they are jacked.
they're
It's
athletes.
it,
I mean,
it
that's
total
hard.
athletes.
Yeah,
That's another
yeah.
thing they talk about all the time. Like the Cowboys always joke that the horses get better. They're treated better than the Cowboys. Like they have spas, they have all these saltwater
Yeah.
baths. They're like rubbed down with oil. Like these are not horses with flies on them. Like you never see flies on them. Just like they're so
Yeah.
taken care
Yeah.
of. They spray like lemon oil on them so the flies stay away, and they're like constantly massaged. I mean, it's a whole industry, and yeah, these horses are just from day one are like trained, like they call them like
Yeah.
2 year olds, 3 year olds, but so like yeah, all the terminology now, it's like
Yeah.
the 3 year old horse is like in his or her prime, like that's when they're like young and fresh and like ready to go. So it's yeah,
That's
it's
so
it's it's
cool.
wild. I mean, they're just so tuned in, and these horses are like know exactly what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, I
it's
like
it's
that
wild.
opening sequence. They showed all that, like the red light therapy,
Yeah.
they show all that right in episode 1, I think it was. And
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's
it
right.
was amazing. All that stuff you're explaining. It's like, I want all that, I'd probably even cold plunge them,
The
At the treadmill, the horse treadmill, they showed the
horse
horse treadmill.
treadmill. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
these guys, again, when the bigger ranches are certainly set up for all that stuff, right? Then they bring in other people who are just kind of rich horse owners who don't necessarily ride their horses, but they own horses. They'll keep their horses, right? They'll basically pay these cowboys to house their horses at their ranch, and train them, right? So that hopefully it would be like horse racing, right? It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have my horse trained by a really good jockey to like hopefully win and like win me money and then make my horse more valuable, and it goes.
The rich people that own the horse but don't ride the horse.
Yeah.
In the show, season 1, episode, I think 1 or 2, you know, the one cowboy, I forget his name, goes and talks to Ginger about trying to ride one of her horses, and she's like, "What's in it for me?" You know, and
Yeah.
there was just
Are
a
we, are
whole
we
other
talking about Yellowstone or Last Cowboy?
The Last Cowboy.
But oh, you are talking. Okay, so
Yeah,
Ginger Schmersel, yeah,
yeah, Ginger Schmersel. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yes,
and it was just interesting to me that these people have these horses. They have, you know, I guess the Schmersel's case, the husband rides, but there was
yes,
the other couple that he ended up riding for, that cowboy ended up riding for, and they
yeah,
don't ride. I think is it
yeah.
Rutgers? Is it Rucker Ranch? Is that what it's called?
Ooh, yeah,
Uh,
that might be. That goes back. I started
yeah.
working on that show season 2,
Okay.
um, and yeah, it's changed a bit. It's
Yeah.
changed a bit. It
Yeah. I was
was
just curious, like you're saying, you know, like I guess the money in it for them is they train the horse, they then can stud it out if it's a winner.
yeah,
But that's where that's the game for those folks.
that's the real money. Yeah, it's like because you can win. You know, if you have a good horse, you win money. I mean, there are a couple of horses that are $1 million horses. It's rare, right? But that's lifetime earnings, right? So,
Yeah.
most of these persons, I don't know. I mean, it's like if you're making like 50 grand, but then you split that with all your employees, and then there's that you split with the owner, the horse owner, and that it's like there's not a ton of money when you're talking about operating a ranch, right? Like you have to go to a lot of. That's why people go to all these horse shows. So like you're increasing your odds of winning something,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
What
So
Yeah. What about when filming this show? Where's base camp for you guys as a crew? Like, is it local hires in certain areas? Because I noticed a lot of it takes place like in Arizona, some of it's in Texas.
yeah,
Uh,
most of that show is Arizona, like Scottsdale, and there's an area just west of Fort Worth that's really big where Taylor lives, and then there's or one of his ranches, and then a bunch of cowboys are kind of there because it's just it's good for horses and everything. So it's a mix. I have a few people, and most of the people now I've done the show 3 seasons, and almost everyone comes back. Um, some people from New York, I will be able to travel. They still let me travel people in, and then some locals, like our PAs will be locals. But for the most part, it's we travel people in because it's a show like that. It's like, oh well, this is the crew, right?
yeah.
Are
So
you
they're
directing
they're
it
willing.
too? Do you
No,
direct
I'm,
that show?
I'm
Who's the
just
is it the
VPing.
same director?
This is I mean it's a showrunner, so
Mhm,
no one directs the competition, right? Because the competition it's
mhm.
a real sports competition. So we really have no, but we can't
Control.
influence it
Yeah,
all, right? We can't control it. It's very, very kind of sacred. Like we don't even
right.
at the run for a million, we can't touch the horses, right? The horses are in their stables. Like, for our people's ranches, a lot of times, like I'm shooting interviews in the stables and the horses are like, like trying to lick me or whatever. And like, petting the horses. It's great. Like I love horses. So that's lovely, but yeah, competition. It would be like any competition show, right? If we were doing The Apprentice, Survivor, it was always very strict rules about interaction with cast. It's all game show rules, right? So those from the 50s, a quiz show. Um, so like very strict rules about interacting with any kind of cast on any of the old school reality shows. Because you don't want to show favoritism. You don't want to
Yeah.
say, "Oh, well, that camera operator was like talking to a cast member. Like, what if they told him something?" There was just no. I mean, I remember on Survivor, one of the cast members came up and asked me a question. I was like, I literally didn't say anything. I was like, and I just pointed to a producer. It's like it was my first time doing it. I was like, I'm not going to be the guy that talks to a
You're like, I
cast
don't
member,
know.
and I just pointed to a producer. Like, go talk to them. That was the thing. They said just Tell them to talk to a producer. You can't say anything. This is, obviously we're talking to the cast.
Yeah.
And this is a very different. It's one of those shows where if you don't make friends with the cast, if you don't ingratiate yourself and you know become friendly, then you're not going to get nearly as much. I mean that is most of my experience, right? That's a big difference. And another thing I like, Jen, about doing competition shows versus storytelling and doing shows where you can be a part of the creative process and everything, you also get to be part of these people's lives, right? And it's to
Right.
me that's so much more interesting. Like competition, that you can't even talk to people. It's just there's this wall up between cast and crew, which you need,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's necessary, but it is not. It's we get to go to their ranches and we're hanging out with their kids and we get to know their names. So like then you show up the next year and it's like, hey, Jeremy, I mean, that feels good. It's like I would never be friends with these cowboys. Like I like politically, I don't know if we align. I don't know what they do and where they're on TV, but like we leave and we come back and they're happy to see us. We're happy to see them. And we hang out and it's just like it becomes a really nice, yeah, it becomes a nice experience
I
for
love
everybody.
that. Well,
Yeah, and
it's
it
even
makes them
better.
better
It's
too.
even better if like you maybe like your views are different or your lifestyle's different, but that you can get along because we need that in this world right now,
Absolutely.
We
Yeah.
need
Well,
to
there's no.
be
Yeah.
different and get along and still appreciate each other's, point of view in life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it is one of those nice moments where like, oh, yeah, we're actually we don't even think about it. We don't think about that stuff, the kind of the shit,
That's great.
the shittier parts of life right now. It's like, oh yeah, we can just come and just hang out with horses. Like the one thing we all have in common is that we love horses, and everyone who's on that show kind of has. I like to hire people who kind of have the same, who I know are going to be obviously like good at their jobs, but just are, yeah, I don't know, approach it the same way where it's like it's all
Vibes.
chill,
Good
good
vibes.
Yeah.
vibes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want good vibes on set. I
Yeah.
mean, we're
It's
making
important.
TV. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed
Yeah.
to be like be good at your job, and then have fun doing it. Because otherwise,
Yeah.
like, why are we doing it? So but a show like that, it's like, yeah, of course, the cast gets along with just about everybody because I hire people. They get along with me, they're probably going to get along with everyone. It's like we're all the same kind of vibe, you know. So everyone's pretty chill.
I love your description of the show because it just sounds like a lot of these competition shows, like it is about like pitting people against each other and
Right.
like elimination and discord and all this kind of stuff. And this sounds more wholesome and kind of fun, like just like a competition. Like
Yeah.
who's the best that day,
Yeah.
um,
And
versus
they
like being
try to
mean
make it a
spirited or
little.
anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's not in their. It's just not in their bones. Like they can't. These
Yeah,
cowboys
yeah.
just are not mean people. I
Until
think
you try and
also.
steal their horse, then they'll
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Or their
Yeah.
land.
Like there's no rips around.
Yeah.
Um,
– and don't mess
but
with their land.
yeah, that's
Like,
right.
if you
I
watch
mean,
Yellowstone.
I mean, I think it's at least it's kind of unspoken, but I think that it's the horses, right? I think the horses are a big part of that. You need to be calm around horses, right? It's all about the horses pick up on stress and anxiety. So the cowboys are naturally calm because that's just kind of
That's
where
interesting. Yeah,
they're
right.
supposed to be. So it's great for the real world. It's a little rough for television because there's not a lot of drama. They certainly with music cues and like and editing, like they'll make a little more they'll make a little bit of drama out of it, and if they can
But
get a
but you
line or
know what?
two,
I
but
mean,
you
but
don't
you know
really
what?
need it.
We're programmed to find conflict and build drama, and that's like in our DNA at this point. Like
Yeah,
that's what we do is we seek the conflict, we maximize the drama and all these stories. But you know what? The Last Cowboy, this is season 5. Like people love it, and maybe there isn't a ton of
yeah,
drama, but people still love it, and maybe things don't have to have so much like drama. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe there's just something fun about,
Or maybe
Yeah, well,
season
we
6 is
performance.
Celebrity, The Last Cowboy with
yeah. Well,
Omarosa.
we already shot 6. Oh, please no. But you know what? That would be amazing. That would be I did do a show way back. This is a while back called Celebrity Bull Riding. And
Oh, wow.
it was like C-list celebrities like training how to ride a bull and stay on for 8
That's like
seconds or
no
whatever.
joke.
It was terrible. And I think at least 3 of them ended up in the hospital. Stephen Baldwin was one of them, like broke his clavicle. I mean, it
Oh
Ugh,
was
my God. Yeah, that's not,
it,
you don't just get on a bull and
yeah,
ride
no,
yeah.
it. Like,
no.
what do you,
So I can't imagine it.
that was a bad idea.
Celebrity reining. Like
That was a,
who signed up for that?
Yeah.
Amazing,
Yeah,
amazing. No,
yeah.
celebrity raining.
We actually did season 6. That's in the can.
Oh, okay.
So hopefully we get season 7. But it's
But
that actually the thing that changed is that Taylor really wants. He actually doesn't want all the like kind of the backgrounds. Like he loves the competition and wants to get straight to the competition. So it actually our schedule kind of cut in half because
oh,
we used to be like 11 or 12 weeks on the road for that show, and we go to their ranches and visit and do a lot of this backstory and have these beautiful moments. And Taylor, again, it's hard to argue with the guy. He knows how to tell a story, but he felt on the show that it's like let's cut to the chase. Let's get to the competition. That's the
hmm.
interesting stuff.
You
I think that
yeah.
they're now realizing they need some more of this filler stuff. So we ended up doing a little bit at the end, but it's I that's the stuff I really like is being able to go there and to people's houses and tell stories.
Yeah,
One of the things
connect.
when we were preparing for this episode of the podcast, I was saying to Jen, I thought, at least in season 1, because that's as far as I got, as far as having time to research, it was a little slow and it needed to get more competition. So maybe Taylor and I
Yeah,
think alike. Maybe there is hope for me.
there you go. That actually makes me feel better because I'm thinking, like also just it's nice to have a 12-week show. I hate that my 12-week show turned into a 5-week show,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
but but it was also just shooting wise. That's the fun part is when we get to go to these ranches and like we shoot all this beautiful stuff. Show up in the morning and everyone has these beautiful ranches, even if they're modest. They're still up on a hill, a grassy hill somewhere, and we get the sunrise and the mist and shoot the horses and film with the horses and like do all this fun stuff. And the Cowboys are all loose and fun, like, hey, let's go on ATV and like let's do all this fun stuff. So so as crew, that's the fun part for us.
yeah.
Yeah,
The
that's
competitions
great.
are kind of they're kind of like, all right, well, it's a lot of shoulder time doing interviews, and then I usually have a separate team that shoots the actual competition. So we hire a third party to basically come in and shoot. We call them sport shooters. They're just on sticks, and they'll shoot the actual competition while me and the rest of my kind of reality crew are doing
The
kind of
story bits.
story bits and going to their barns and talking with them and trying to get those OTS and draw that drama a little bit and get them practicing and yeah. So it's not always as fun, but it's I will say I've watched season 6 and it moves. It really like he really doesn't. They don't waste much time just getting in there, and it's I do think there's something to that. That
Yeah,
that first season was definitely slow.
yeah, yeah,
I think he's probably the instinct is probably right to just kind of tighten it up a bit.
yeah.
It's
But it is,
interesting
it
because it's
is, it is,
so,
it is so true though what you're saying. They'll come in and say, none of this. We're not doing this year, whatever this is. And then you focus on the other thing, and then the last week they're like, we need a bunch of that, and then you gotta spend
Yeah,
double time
yeah,
trying to make up for lost
yeah. It's
time. And
crazy. Yeah,
yeah,
it's like they overcorrect, and then they lure where that post was asking where all the B-roll is. Like, well, that's all the stuff that we shot. Like, where's all the like the really like the beautiful stuff that the specialty stuff with them like spinning, and you were spinning around with them and all the drone stuff, and So, but we shot all that at their ranches. You can't shoot that in a competition
Yeah.
because they're in competition mode. They're in,
Yeah.
Yeah, so
they're focused.
Yeah.
And also because we can't get close to the horses, and you can't. I'm not bringing a gimbal in there right next to a competition horse right before it goes.
Yeah.
So all of that we could do that. We had so much wider parameters when we were at their ranches. So yeah, it's funny that they're like, "Well, where's all that stuff?" It's like that's the stuff you
Yeah.
told us not to shoot.
Yeah.
So how this I mean, this is a very different project for Taylor, different than his dramatic stories that he does. Is he involved with this nonfiction story? Like,
No, not
I mean, does he
really. I
show
mean,
up on set?
he shows up for competition. So he
Oh,
actually
oh,
does
okay.
it now. He actually competes.
Oh,
Even at the Run for a Million. Yeah, he's actually getting better. He's trained by one of the like guy who won the first Run for a Million. This young kid,
wow.
who's one of the best. So yeah, I mean he's there, and he does the color commentary. So he'll do all the commentary. We always have cameras on him for that. Just kind of locked off cameras, and then we get him in the chair to do a couple of interviews. A couple times a season. One year we needed to do a special interview with him, so we flew to Jackson Hole, drove 3 hours, and then set up for 3.5 hours just to shoot the interview with him and go home. So that's really the extent. I He loves the show, and it is a pet project of his. It's a passion project, right? He kind of has like it's kind of what Paramount gives him, like to kind of keep him happy,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word. Like, yeah, he gives him all these amazing shows, and then like, oh, no, he's like, give me this one,
Here's your
right?
little
So
pet project. Yeah.
yeah, because it's not like the show it has a huge following, right? It's I think it airs on CMT first, now it's on Paramount Plus, but it's not like this huge numbers. I mean, so I don't know that Paramount would necessarily hang on to it if they didn't have Taylor, then they have a vested interest in Taylor Sheridan, making good shows for them. So it's great. I mean, that's great for us, and it has done amazing things for this industry, for the rain industry, and for just changed lives.
Yeah.
It's he's doing a great thing, and it's not that he's not involved. I mean, he gets to see every cut, right? Like he approves every cut. He is there, but it's more about the world for him. He's not babysitting the show. He knows that
Right.
the show is good, and it's off to the races. They've been going for 6 seasons. Like it's the show. He knows that good people are producing it and good people are shooting it, and he's not worried about it. So
That's great. I
yeah,
mean,
That's really good. Yeah.
and 6 seasons, I mean, that's an accomplishment. Not very many shows make it to past first season, let
yeah,
alone
Yeah.
the
yeah,
third and getting it to the 6th season. It's definitely in a special category, even if it's a smaller, lesser known show.
yeah. I think that makes
But
it more special that it's somehow it stays on the air.
I mean, that's like for all of us in our careers.
Yeah,
Like we've done a million different shows, but actually, yeah, your AMC The Ride with Norman Reedus
Reedus.
is an
Yeah,
ongoing fun show that you do, and it's has a similar vibe. Like it's not horses, it's motorcycles, but it's kind of like it has like a similar vibe. Like you're just kind of down home, getting to know people and their personal stories. Like not a lot of drama and
right.
conflict, but more like, hey, let's just go for a ride and get to talk life and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was really apologetically based on Bourdain. That's Norman will say it. He
Yes.
wanted to do like his version of No Reservations. So it's a travel show, right? It's a travel show where we show places and people and food and do fun activities and go to kind of cool places, and that's yeah. I mean that is the heart of the show, right? So there's inherently no drama. It's just kind of a travelogue.
How do you
But
shoot that? Are you on a motorcycle?
no, well, season one. season one, I had the episode. That's sorry, that was a season I did not do. I didn't do season one. I came out season two, but they actually had a guy sitting backwards on a motorcycle with a little camera.
That's what I was shooting for. Yeah, so you don't do that.
Crazy.
Yeah.
No, it's a pretty amazing process. That show it is logistically one of the more complicated shows I've ever done. But again, just so rewarding.
Why is it
It's
so
just why is it complicated?
Yeah, that what makes it tough.
It's it's a moving target, right? So we have a caravan of about 14 vehicles that has to go everywhere.
Wow.
We're shooting all the time, right? We're shooting 14-hour days on the call sheet, and we're not just shooting locations. We do 5 locations a day, and then
Oof, that's
we're
a
also
lot.
shooting in between those locations. Right. So
Whoa.
they try to have a few locations that they know they're gonna have to drop in the edit. So they need to do a little bit more. And it is you on top of that, then you have we're shooting all the stuff in between. So you have to have the logistics of having 14 vehicles all traveling together. Right. Sometimes we travel some people ahead of time. I have to leapfrog my B camera ahead to so that she can shoot B-roll or just get a lay of the land and then get our arrivals. And then we have something called the bubble, where it's just like we have basically a police officer. We always have local police officers that are kind of guiding us. It's not necessarily.
Oh, really?
One time we actually shut down the 101. It was pretty amazing. Like they
Whoa.
literally, yeah, the California Highway Patrol just literally shut down lanes for us, and we're cruising on the 101. So typically it's not that but we do have motorcycle cops in the front and the end, and then we have production vehicles, and then I'm in a 15-passenger van typically, where I have local key grip, build everything out. It's like a speed rail, which is like just these these metal pipes, where you can clamp anything to, right? It's a kind of it's the basic tool for grips, and they make this kind of exoskeleton around the van.
Wow.
And that attaches this giant camera rig that has it's like an arm, like a gimbal arm, like kind of like a Steadicam arm that it's kind of takes all the bounce out. So there's that, and that's attached to another mount that has a mount that kind of absorbs all the shock this way. And then that's what's attached to that is then a gimbal, or that's a Ronin, which is kind of one of the go-to gimbals in the industry. The camera is then housed in that. So we have three different motion stabilizers going on here.
Wow.
So the result is
Wow.
absolutely butter smooth images.
Yeah.
We go over the biggest bump, and that camera doesn't move at all. It's wild. And then I'm in the van. Usually the grip takes the seat out, puts them backwards, bolts it down, brass straps it down. So myself and the AC are inside. I'm looking at a big monitor with a remote controller, like a little joystick, and I'm operating the camera movement. And my AC is sitting next to me with a smaller monitor with a remote focus control, and he's operating the focus.
Yeah.
So it's a whole operation. And then inside that van, I have the director / showrunner, the sound mixer, the AD, so the assistant director, who's really helping them navigate all the traffic. And I have a stunt driver, a professional stunt driver, who's driving our vehicle.
Oh, wow.
Because it's just, you can't hire a PA. No one wants that responsibility. Like, it's a huge responsibility. And that also, they have to understand how to work around motorcycles and to maintain a constant speed. And so these are precision drivers who are driving us. And then I also have a professional Hollywood stuntman who's our stunt coordinator. He did Mission Impossible movies. Like, this guy is one of the best. He's an absolute legend. And every year he comes to do the show because he's like, I just get to ride motorcycles. I don't have to put my life in danger. I'm just doing this. And I put 2 cameras on his motorcycle, little mini gimbals. And he is so good because he's used to doing all second unit directing stuff that he can, on his phone, actually manipulate the cameras, right? So he's making shots while he's driving alongside them. So I'm in front shooting backwards and he's next to them making these shots. And then we're just doing this live. I mean, I'm like, ooh, I see a cool shot. And then he can put himself, he knows how to stack himself right behind the other motorcycle so I can't see him.
Wow.
He can see the lens. He knows exactly where to like put himself so he can't see. He knows if he can't see the lens can't see him.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys, they are
Wow.
operating at a level that's like the best in the business, right? So
Wow.
the fact that we get that kind of talent on the show behind the scenes, it makes it all work. But there's always moving parts, and it's just constant shooting. I mean, I literally have my big camera next to me in the van. As soon as we pull up to a spot, I hand my control to my AC. I grab my camera. I hop up the back, like like it's an action movie. Hop on the back of the van, and I jump in to like then cross shoot with my B camera operator, who we sent ahead to meet us to get a clean shot of the van of the motorcycles approaching without 14 other cars in the shot.
Yeah, get that arrival. Yeah, receive
Yeah,
you
a lot
guys.
of times that happens without a scout. I will
Wow.
scout ahead of time with the production manager, the showrunner, and the AD. So at least I know, and we plot out all landing spots, right? So we know, all right, this is where we can come in. This is where we'll shoot the actual scene. But this is the landing spot. This is where we can park 14 vehicles. Yeah, and like, you never know where we're going to be. It's always it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that's especially challenging because everything's in motion. Like
Yeah.
so you're telling the story, but you're also in motion, and you've got a lot of different cameras. That's fun. That's tough.
And it's 5 days, so we're all exhausted by the end. We just know,
like
but
going 5
into it,
days per episode.
it's 5 days per episode.
per
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah, 3 days with the talent, and then we'll do a day with all second unit. So drone and B-roll. My B camera will go and shoot all the B-roll and these local interviews, and that's where we got all the other kind of filler stuff. We have some stunt drivers that do some cool maneuvers for us. So it's a huge, it's just a huge moving target. People can call it.
Yeah, that's cool how you guys rig up the van, though. I think that's really cool how you do that. Because reason I asked the question, because it's like I've worked around motorcycles on our show, and we had the guy on the motorcycle backwards doing the thing. So I was curious if you were that guy. But that's cool that the van rig is pretty impressive.
And that's a pretty big deal. But there are some great car rigs now and motorcycle rigs that I had to downscale because our budget got slashed like everything else. So I had to come up with some other interesting ways to rig cameras to have some action cameras, and now they make these little pocket Osmos. They're like little YouTuber cameras, like little vlogger cameras. Yeah. But they make a pro version of it where you can put a little cloud mount on it, a little squishy mount, and then a little mini arm. So it does the same exact thing as my big rig, but I can put 2 on a motorcycle. I can put one like basically like the trailer hitch of the van, so you get all these other angles.
Yeah. So that's giving you sufficient 10-bit type footage that to work.
And that's the thing that everything. Yeah, it's a tiny chip, but it still can shoot 4K, and it's still the image quality out of that camera is incredible. And I was shocked when I tested it, and then it's like, oh yeah, this is actually viable.
Yeah. Is it starting to replace the GoPro? Is the GoPro still?
GoPro is still definitely viable because no one's really. It's not replacing it. It's just a different tool.
Different tool.
The GoPro, no one's come out with anything that competes with it.
Yeah.
I mean, really, Sony came out with these little RX Zeros years ago that were a better lens. I used them on a couple shows instead of GoPros. Bring them in cars like we would normally, but you had so much more control, and there was just more trouble that was worth because they never perfected it. GoPro has spent. I mean, they're on a 14 now. I don't know what it's like an iPhone. So it just keeps getting better. The image quality and the user interface just gets better. So until someone else comes out with something better, like GoPro's still going to have it still corners the market on those action cameras because they're so, they're so compact, and the pocket Osmo, is still, it's like a hand grip sort of. You can only use it for certain things.
Yeah.
DJI actually, I will think about it. DJI does have an action camera that is as good as a GoPro, but it's just not. The word isn't out yet on that camera, but it's. it rivals it. There's still, like everything, I think it's always like the right tool for the right job, right? You
Yeah.
don't just you wouldn't use GoPros for certain things. I would use, it's one of the big decisions I have to make as a DP. What cameras am I going to use, and why, right? Like, why am I making these choices? What lenses, what cameras, what specialty? I'm not going to bring a bunch of stuff just to have it. Um, and I'm not a big fan of GoPros, but there's no other camera that you're going to clip onto an ATV or
Yeah.
a go-kart
Yeah.
and get shots of your person riding. Like
Yeah.
that's the only option.
Yeah.
Yeah. The saddle cam, whatever you're doing on the last rodeo, or Last
Yeah,
Cowboy.
yeah, yeah. I have ridden a horse with a camera before. It's not, and I don't advise it. It's not good.
So what's I didn't realize that Bride was in sort of an ode to Anthony Bourdain. That's neat. And what's it like working with Norman Reedus?
Norman's great. He's he's the kind of guy like, now, again, now I've done 6 years with the guy, and so he knows me, and like, he follows me on Instagram and likes my posts, and like we have
Aw,
each other's cell numbers, and every once in a while it's like send a text. He is a really like, a regular guy in the way that a guy who like came up in the '70s in New York and was a model, discovered on a doorstep as a model, and was an actor and like an artist and knows all these amazing cool people. Like, he's as grounded as you could be, being that kind of person.
right.
And being married to Diane Kruger, like, and, he's still just like a very kind of approachable regular guy, and he gets sworn by fans. But then when
Oh
he's with the
wow.
crew, like, he really, like, and he like say, like anyone, that tension can be fun, but he's really like will actually hang out with the crew. And yeah, like,
Nice.
he's just he becomes a regular guy, like, we all just got Norman's, hey, Norman, it's an interesting thing when you spend enough time with the person and you get to kind of see them outside of the limelight and realize they're just a regular person. And that I have to remind myself, I'm like, oh my God, he's hugely famous. I'm just sitting there chatting with him,
Yeah.
right? And then I see all the people like,
Yeah.
acting like he's like the Beatles. I mean, I've seen, we
The
were in
Beatles.
Spain, and we were getting chased down, like literally people on their
Whoa.
mopeds reaching out trying to grab them off the motorcycles. They were
Oh my gosh.
frenzied,
Wow.
frenzied.
Wow.
We were going through these towns or these streets in yeah, where were we? This was in Spain, and Valencia, I think it was, and we could see the next streets over on both sides. It was like an action movie where it's like you're seeing these people, all these scooters, and all these people running on the other streets, like next to ours, like trying to cut us off, basically getting in front of us. It was an
Wow.
absolute mob scene.
Wow.
And then you get to the hotel and you're hanging out. It's just like, oh, you're just Norman,
Normal
like,
day.
because yeah, or it's just Norman. Like, why everyone's so crazy about him? But then you kind of forget when you just
Were
gotta be
you
friends with somebody.
are you a
Nice.
fan of Walking Dead? Did you ever
Actually read the comic for a little bit. I'm not a
Oh,
huge comic book guy, but I read the comic, and then was a big fan of the show early on. I kind of fell off, and I don't watch any of the spinoffs or anything. I probably should. But I would always like bone up again before Ride. I was like, all right, I gotta watch another season. I gotta keep up. Um,
I loved him in Boondock Saints. That was
oh
when I
yeah,
when I
yeah,
first came in Norman Reedus fan.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
He's
I mean,
he's he's a legitimately good guy. He's one of the good ones.
well, that's nice to hear. That's always, and I mean, I think if he's going to do a show where he's riding motorcycles around with his friends and just hanging out with a couple dudes on the open road, like, that says a lot about him and who he
Yeah,
is. If he's interested in taking the time to make a show like that,
yeah.
um,
It's another one where it's the same thing as Taylor. Like, this was a passion project of his. I mean, they came to him with it in the beginning because he really rides. He's a very talented motorcycle rider. I mean, he did it on the show, but he's been riding motorcycles since before he was famous. Um, and he really wanted to do a show like that. Or they thought he would be good at doing a show like that. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. And that became the show he really loves. It's very special to him. That's very different from his scripted stuff, right? And it then became this thing is, okay, well, we'll keep making Ride to keep Norman happy because he's one of our biggest stars. This is
There's a
AMC. I mean,
theme in your career here, Jeremy, where you work with these like Hollywood, big time Hollywood directors like Taylor Sheridan and actors like Norman Reedus, and then you do their fun nonfiction
yeah,
projects. It's a theme, like, you could put that on your business card. Well, with all of your wonderful experience doing all these different shows and different formats and your ability to connect with people, it seems to me like a natural sort of thing that you would teach at the main workshop, which you just finished for the first time, right? That was your
yeah.
first teaching experience, and tell us about that. That sounds so cool.
Mm. Yeah, it ended up being cool. It was a little stressful leading up to it, only because it was an official teaching job, and I teach kind of every day on set. I'm always PAs or ACs or whatever. It's always just kind of a teaching and learning experience for me. But I've never been you know hired to actually teach, and like I had to stand up in front of a group of students and tell them so you
What
start to
was
get
the
this.
class? What was the name of the class
It was nonfiction cinematography.
at the
Uh,
main workshop? Is that what
at
it's
the
called?
yeah, at the main
Okay,
yeah, it's main media workshops. Um,
main meeting.
yeah, main media workshops.
We are back. As you can see, I am in a different place wearing different clothes, and we had some technical difficulties with the AWS Riverside outage. So thank you so much to Jeremy for taking a couple more minutes out of his day to come back and finish this great interview.
Hey, I'm
Yeah,
wearing I'm wearing the same shirt.
me too. I
It's
was
been
like,
a
I
few
continuity.
continuity. I
I
gotta.
I wish
Sean, you're blowing the
I
continuity.
am blowing it. I'm in a different city, so I kind of have no choice, unfortunately.
Awesome. Well, we're used to technical difficulties, aren't we, guys? We just roll with the
Yeah,
punches and keep going.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
thanks, Jeremy, for coming back, and we love talking to you. And I think where we left off was we were talking about your wonderful career and all these wonderful experiences you've had, and it's not surprising that with all of your experience and accolades and great reputation that you would be invited to teach at the main workshop. So I'd love to know about that. What were you teaching? What was the class? And what did you
Uh,
teach?
yeah, it's pretty great. I actually knew about this place long ago when I was in film school. They've been around for 52 years, so almost as long as me. Um, and they were kind of legendary. I mean, there's been like Inarritu went through there, a bunch of big time documentary filmmakers. I mean, this place is kind of legendary. And they were, advertising when I was in film school. I was like, oh, I'd love to go there and like really get my hands on, because they've always been this very like geared towards being very specific, like high intensity, intensive film video courses. They did steady cam work courses. They did screenwriting, narrative and nonfiction. So, or just still photography, like any of these like kind of creative endeavors, you could go there and kind of like started as this like real, like a retreat up in Maine, Rockport, Maine, and it's become this big thing now. So I'm accredited college.
Sounds
So,
lovely. I wanna
oh,
go.
it is beautiful. Rockport, Maine is like it's just gorgeous little coastal town with this like protected harbor. It is exactly what you imagine. It's like the like little shingle roofs and And it's like this little campus is tucked away. They kind of took over these little farm buildings and like made this little campus. It's absolutely astonishing,
Sounds
especially
dreamy. Yeah.
yeah, in the fall. It's like it was storybook. Even like I'm looking around and being like, how is this real? Like it looks AI generated, you know? But a friend of actually mutual friend of ours, Jen, Will Castellucci, is the head of
Aw.
production up there. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was an AC of mine for a long time. He's fantastic, and
I hired him. I introduced him to you.
I think that's right. I think that's right. That's wild. That's wild. Um, and he's been a friend of mine for a long time. He went up there with his wife and child, and he got a full time gig up there, which is great for him.
Yeah.
So he invited me. This is now the second time he's invited me. First time I couldn't do it, and this time I was like, what are the chances that this opportunity falls in my lap twice? And it just felt so. Will asked me to do this a second time, and I really felt like I couldn't pass up the opportunity since I got, it's like, all right, the universe is trying to tell me I should try this teaching thing. So yeah, so I did. I mean, look, it was one of the scariest things I've done in a long time.
Really?
It's not, yeah, it's not my natural habitat. Although I teach kind of naturally, organically on set every day, right? I was teaching PAs, I'm teaching ACs, and just trying to kind of impart knowledge and also, absorb knowledge. But like, it's never like standing in front of a class and being the guy who's like imparting knowledge and ooh, I'm the last word on what like it's. I don't want to. I don't feel like I'm the authority on these things. Like
So
are these
you're
students just
used
going to
to
listen to me?
collaborating more than just
Yeah,
being like all eyes on you kind of thing.
right, and having to just be your own organic thing, right? Instead of standing up in front of the class and giving
Right.
presentation and being like, "Oh, I am the voice of authority." Um, yeah, I don't know. It was an odd thing. So I was really stressed about it. And I also don't. PowerPoint's certainly not my not my specialty. Luckily, my wife uses it every day, so she was able to kind of help me put together a presentation. And that's just day one, right? The idea is everything's very hands-on, and these students are, the idea for them to come here is not to sit and be lectured to, but it's to actually get their hands on cameras and do things with cameras that they would never have the opportunity to do
What
in the
was
outside world.
what was the
The,
name of the class? What was
the
what was
yeah, the course itself was called Nonfiction Cinematography.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So it's that's documentary, that's nonfiction television, right? It kind of becomes this broad field,
How
but
lucky for the students to get you as a teacher. That's wonderful.
yeah, thank you for saying that. I mean, it is kind of, it's one of those things where I'm like, oh yeah, I've been doing this for 25 years. I actually know some things. I can just talk about what I know and just do, what I know. I think that was that was the fun part for me, and the easier part for me. It, it was tough for me to stand in front of a class and do my 2 hour presentation about the history of cinema verite and all this stuff. Um, but well, once I kind of got past that, and even that was able to just kind of riff and like read the students and see like are their eyelids starting to get heavy, like are they engaged?
What was the average
Um,
age of these students?
I was wild. My youngest was 19. My oldest was in her mid 50s. So it was really all of our. It was I only had 6 students, which was also like just
That's great.
the perfect amount, a
Yeah.
good even number. I had a TA who was able to kind of help me with logistics and also so we could make sure that all the students were getting attention. But yeah, they were all coming from different backgrounds, all with different levels of experience. Most of them had never touched a camera before, so it was really
Wow.
teaching them from the ground up. A couple of them were part of a 10-week intensive, all this filmmaking where they were learning all of it. All right, so you can go there and just kind of take all these courses and really immerse yourself. So one of them, the two of them were more into narrative filmmaking, and it wasn't really their cup of tea. One of them was like, eh. The other one at the end, he said, "I think I want to do nonfiction now. Like
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
so excited
wow.
Yeah.
about working with real people and doing like covering real things and."
Yeah.
like actually like getting away from that whole script thing because it's so set up and the
Yeah.
efficiency in which we work and we're just going fast and having to pivot. Like he's loved it. So I think I actually converted somebody from the narrative world into the non narrative.
That's
Um,
great.
and it's I mean, one kid said like I learned more in this class in 4 days. It was really 4 days of the real intensive stuff than I did in a semester in actual college, like at film school.
Wow.
Uh,
Like
Wow.
that was
that
teaching them
doesn't
stuff
surprise
like
me.
that.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. Like Sean,
Yeah.
what are they being taught? I don't
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well,
It's like
I
it's all the little
wonder,
exposure triangle, and they're like, I didn't
but
know what
think
that
about it.
was.
I
Or
mean,
ISO.
you have 25 years of experience. Like if the
Yeah,
teacher hasn't been in the field and is making films for 25 years, they're going to have, just less to share, but you have all this experience that you get to share.
yeah, yeah.
So that's
Well,
what they're
and
benefiting from.
yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it was again, the textbook stuff that was in my presentations, like that was fine, like just going over the basics, right? And these are the concepts of framing, because I kind of like broke it up into coverage, single camera coverage or double camera coverage, OTFs and B-roll. Like those are like I was like this is kind of the three tenets of nonfiction cinematography, right? Like so we can break it down into
And to
these
those
skill
who,
sets.
and what's OTF for those who don't know what
It's
that is?
on the fly, so it's traditionally a quick interview in the moment. Um, like someone's doing something, and you just pull them aside, and like, what's going on right now? That is the idea of it. But Jen, we know how those actually go. Most of the time, OTS become half hour interviews where it becomes this actual like setup thing, and you're sitting there on your shoulder like, I thought this was going to be a 5 minute interview, and suddenly it's half an hour. So OTF has become this bigger thing, but in general, it is a non-formal interview. So if you see in some television shows, they'll have sit down with lights and two cameras, one's on the dolly, and it's all this whole setup. That's what we call a traditional interview. And then OTF is always just this kind of more raw. Even if it is on a tripod, it's still, it's relatively unlit. It's more natural and quick.
That's the director's famous last words. It's only going to be 5 minutes to
It's
the
never,
cameraman that's like, yeah, right.
yeah,
I'm going to
it's never
stand
just
here with
five.
this camera on my shoulder for 30 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it was, I mean, there were skills that again, these students really had never done before, and being able to really kind of teach them right in these like really segmented. And it said we had actors that came in on the first day, and we're like, all right, these two are gonna build a tent. These two are literally gonna sit here and play Jenga, and
Oh, that's
it's
fun.
not about what's happening; it's about how you cover it. I'm gonna watch you, and then and then
Critique it.
teach you like as we go, right? Like think about your cutaways, right? You need to get your wides, your cutaways, your reaction shots, inserts, like all this stuff. Get a non-sync wide. I mean, teach them all this stuff, and then also how to kind of dance these two cameras. And then at each morning, we would review that footage. The amazing thing is they have an on-staff editor, and that editor would cut. I told him, can you cut down basically 6 mini documentaries, 30-second
How
documentaries,
fun.
Wow.
just showing their footage. It was like he made 6 completely different documentaries out of the same subject, went to a chair
Oh, that's
maker.
so
Wow.
cool.
And so I saw a place for this process, and then we could do OTFs and show the process and show there's cutaways of me. I would have loved to have shot here. It's like this is natural light and all these amazing tools and like old wizened faces, like with this craft and this young woman who was like came in to do it, who wants to like take this old craft and bring it to like the new generation. I mean, it's like this is a real documentary here. I mean, I want to actually film this place. So be able to have this place that was so, like just a wealth of amazing footage and stories was so great for the students. And it was incredible. The next day, like I almost had tears in my eyes. I was like,
Oh my
I'm so
gosh.
proud of them to like see after 2 days, right? This is their second day of shooting. Like they
Wow.
actually did some work, like
Wow.
they had all the pieces, and it was unpolished. It was amazing. But you could see that that some of my lessons were getting through, and that they were looking for these, they were hunting for these opportunities to get interesting shots and to get the inserts, and like they understood what that coverage meant. So
I love
it was pretty
that.
rewarding. In the end, it was
Wow.
really like, yeah, it was. I'm very glad I did it.
Well, think
And
about that. Like they got to kind of live in your shoes for 2 days, and it was that
yeah,
moving of an experience. I mean, you've had 25 years of this storytelling, and I think that's something we all should remember, basically, or just keep in the forefront of our minds, that we're storytellers, despite the difficulties of our business right now, and all the changes that are going on, and the tough travel days and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, we're storytellers, and it is how we connect to one another, and it's how we understand one another, and there's a real joy in that. Despite the challenges of the business, I think that's what keeps us going, right?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's right. Yeah, it's tough, right? Because there's a bunch of people who want to get into this business. So, I had a little bit of a conversation, really with my TA, who a little, some experience, and like, what do you do? Like, how do you get into this business now? It's hard to kind of tell all these students, like, yeah, this is a great time to get in.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah, yeah,
it's tough, right? I had to be
yeah,
realistic with them, right? When you're talking about this as a business, like, yeah, it's not great. But what is great is the opportunities that are there for creating your own things, right? For creating
yeah,
your own products, for making documentaries, for the cameras and the lighting that's available now, right?
yep,
That's
yep,
everything's
yeah,
relatively cheaper and better, right? You're getting more bang for your buck with smaller cameras and lenses that have better image quality, right? Better sensors. You can get it for relatively an affordable price. And
yeah.
this is like, it's kind of the best time in terms of gear
Yeah,
to
best
get
time
into this
ever.
business.
Best time.
Oh
Like
yeah,
when
it's
I started back in '98, you needed to have film. You needed those big cameras. You couldn't afford to start on your own, and now it's in the palm of your hand.
that's right. That's right.
It's really amazing.
I
Yeah.
mean, the creator industry, like the creator, whatever content industry, like if you want to do your own thing, it's 1,000 times easier now than it was when we all started, for
Yeah,
sure. Like if you want to do your own thing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
barrier to entry is just. I mean, it's in the palm of your hand. Even
Yeah.
just these phones alone are just amazing. What they
Yeah.
can shoot and the quality and
I mean, how you make a career out of that is a different question.
Yeah. And
We were
that's
lucky. We were lucky. I think we got in when the business, the nonfiction business, was booming, and cable was exploding, and there was just tons of work. And now the industry is contracting, and we're all feeling that squeeze um in that nonfiction part of our business.
yeah,
yeah.
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 Like back in I started back in '98. It's all about scripted. I started in the scripted space. That's why when you say you had that student that was scripted and you flipped them to non-scripted, I totally related that. It's scripted. It's stressful, behind schedule, waiting for this person, waiting for that person, and in the non-scripted space, which I started in 2010. Uh, it's just so much more relaxed. The people are better. You're working with real people, real stories. It's just a whole. You leave the day of work, going home thinking you actually accomplished something, or feeling like you did.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really accurate. Um, and that's, yeah, I mean, I guess that was what they were feeling, even though they weren't part of a huge production, right? They weren't like doing huge movies, but it was still, even that process. Being on set, they're like, it was really frustrating, and kind of like you weren't allowed to do everything, right? Because even then, it was at the school was like segmented everyone has their job, right? You know how it is on a film set. It's like, oh, you don't, like, if you're not a grip, you're not grabbing the C-stand. You're not,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Yeah.
you don't cross those boundaries at
Yeah.
all, right?
Yeah.
Whereas,
Yeah.
which can be nice if you're, you know, like, I have my job, I'm just gonna focus on this. Like, I'm not disparaging that at all. That's kind of what I wanted to do when I first got into this business, was
Yeah.
do narrative. But there's something very freeing about just being able to participate in the whole thing, right? And move quickly and really be using your brain. And also, yeah, like, you're meeting real people. Like, we were meeting these farmers and chair makers, and like, it was, I think it was just really eye-opening for those particular students. Even the one who's, you know, I think she you know, wants to be a screenwriter, so this is not
Yeah.
just not her thing. But even then, she still appreciated, you know, what she learned from seeing that side of it. So yeah,
And it
it was
never
great.
hurts to know a lot about cameras and that whole thing, right? It's like,
Yeah,
I mean, all the experience I have, I'd still love to come out and take your class. You know, I mean, just, you know, to me, it's always be learning. You know, always be learning. And
Always
yeah,
be learning.
yeah,
that's right.
yeah,
I told
yeah,
him that's
yeah,
also unique. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
a teacher on set, but I learn every day.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like, if you're not learning something on set, I mean, I literally learned a button on the FX9 on this shoot just 2 days ago.
yeah,
Like, I see, like, this little shortcut. I never
yeah,
used it as that. I was like, that's amazing.
yeah,
Like, I've used this camera so often, and I never used that as a final button. And he was like, no, you just do that, and you can toggle through your color temperatures. I was like, it's genius. Like, this is why,
yeah,
this is why, like, if you're
yeah,
not open to learning, for like, oh, great, you use, like, it's not like, oh, I'm his superior. I'm not going to learn. It's like, that's ridiculous. I think that's also, it becomes very equitable in the nonfiction space, right? In the non-narrative space. It's like, everyone's just kind of there. Like, we're all there in the trenches together, and there's not really this hierarchy. I mean, yes, there has to be a certain amount of that,
yeah,
right? People are making decisions on set. It's not
yeah,
just a free for all, but it is. I think it's very generally a democratic kind of vibe on set, right? They're like,
yeah,
hey, there's no bad ideas.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the difference with nonfiction as well, is it's very collaborative because they're
Yes.
smaller teams. You're dealing with real people, and you're in people's houses and intimate personal spaces, and so the crews, are sensitive to their surroundings, and it's more of a collaborative effort, like we're weird guests in somebody's house,
yeah,
Yeah.
filming and moving their furniture around and dictating the light source and all of that sort of thing. Whereas, features and fiction is just such a different beast. Like, you're
Yeah.
controlling the whole thing. There's so many more people involved. So the
Right.
roles are more defined, and it's just a totally different beast.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I had to teach them those little things too. Like, you have to respect people's spaces, right? You're coming into their businesses, into their houses,
Yeah.
and we always want to leave it better than we found it,
Right.
right?
yeah,
The
Yeah.
very least, leave it the same as we found it.
Yeah.
So
Don't break
I,
shit. Don't break the
yeah,
yeah,
thing. And
yeah, but it's all those little things of like, wait, these are the real things. It's like, yeah, I was able to go through camera settings and menus and the more, some of the esoteric theoretical stuff. Then they're like, the menus are like hands-on kind of boring stuff, and then, like, this is how aperture works and the ISO works and shutter works. But then, like, in the real world, when you're really, really out there, like, all these little things that we learn by doing this for so long, that is just like etiquette, right? That we don't even think about. It's like,
yeah,
oh yeah, if you don't know about that, you need to learn. Like, this is what you do when you come in. You have to have some empathy with your subject. You have to have some respect for their time, for their space. We don't just bomb in, right? We meet them outside, go in, right? It's a small unit, get a lay of the land. We're all very courteous, right? And know, like, okay, this is the time we have to do this, right? Like, it's like all those little things. It's like, wow, this is that's where I really got in my comfort zone, because I'm like, oh, this is everyday set stuff, you know.
But
Yeah.
it sounds like this class that you structured this class as a perfect replication of the real world scenario, because what we do is very technical. It is about
Yeah.
the lighting and the aperture and all the menus and the camera, but it's also about managing the person and being in someone's space and being
Yes.
sensitive to um just having situational awareness and being
Yes.
aware of the person and aware of what's going on, and technology and that situational awareness are very much what we do. We do both. Like, so it sounds like your class was like a perfect um copy of what we actually do. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
really
mean,
neat.
that's what I was aiming for, and it's, it's hard in 5 days
Yeah.
to get all that in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was situational awareness was actually like one of the big things I taught, and the idea that, with the technical stuff, right? The idea of the gear is like you want to know it so well that
Right.
you're not thinking about it,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
taught them how to, like, right, the first day all the cameras were just built. It was a big display, and it's like, oh, here are the cameras, woo, right? And then the second day they came in and they were all in cases. I'm like, I need you guys to build the cameras, right?
Oh,
Because when
fun.
you get there on set, you don't have the cameras built for you, right? You have to know
Nice.
how to build the cameras, each and every part, and then you see it, these cases, right, and see how everything's labeled, everything has a place. You want to know exactly. It's like organization is key. You have to know where everything is, and you want to do that so that you're not even thinking about it. You build your camera and then you work your camera, not thinking about all the little bits and bobs. And, oh wait, what do I do if I'm exposing this? Like you want to be thinking about your story and your subjects, and concentrate on being a storyteller, because that's the whole point of it, right? The
Yeah.
technical side is not that's the means to an end. It's not,
Yeah.
that's not the reason why we do it. That's just the tool that we use.
Yeah. It's funny. I've
So
showed up so many times on set where really decorated resume shooters, camera ops, don't know how to build their camera, and it just shocks me. Like, you'll have some young whippersnapper AC come in and do it, or if you're on a shoot that doesn't have an AC, these guys getting on YouTube trying to figure out how to build their camera. We're like, come on, we need to be shooting. They're like, I'm still trying to put this. I'm like,
wow,
yeah, but
I
it's
can't
amazing.
I can't imagine that. Like, it's
Yeah,
also like just prep, right?
yeah,
You have to
yeah,
be prepped and ready to go.
yeah.
Well,
What
and
I was,
kudos to the AC who can build the camera and does know the camera. They're gonna get the job. They're gonna bump up to camera
Yeah,
operator in a
absolutely.
heartbeat if they show competence, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was on a shoot
Yeah.
where we had an AC that didn't know how to do any of that, and then and then but I was going to ask you, in that class, what camera were you building? Did you have different types, or?
Yeah, that was a little bit of the downside. It was, not, I don't want to disparage any camera, but it was a Canon C300 Mark IIs, which I don't think I've used in a decade, and Canon C70s. So they have some partnerships with different
Yeah,
companies, and they had some Sonys, but they were, that deal kind of come to an end. So they had still like Canons, which are fine. I'm just like, I actually, like, this just shows you my level of prep. I mean, I went out to Autorama, and they were able to set me up with two cameras, with the
Oh, wow.
C300 and the C70. I just sat in a bay for hours just learning those cameras,
Oh,
because I'm
wow.
like, I've never shot with a C70. The last time with the C300 Mark II, I think, was in Antarctica. Um, in 2016. So I'm like, I can't be the teacher that comes in and tries to teach you cameras. I wasn't going to be that guy who shows up to set. I'm like, just wait a second. This guy,
What
like, look at this YouTube video. Like, oh, now, yeah, here, guys, this is how you do it. Like, come on, what am I doing? So I went and relearned those cameras,
Oh, wow.
um, because I'm a Sony guy. It's just, most of the companies I work for have Sonys. I own a Sony.
Well, that
It's kind of a
Sony
Mac versus PC
FS
thing.
well, that Sony FS7 has been like, and the FS5 has been the workhorse for a lot of TV shows, right?
Yeah. FS5 not so much anymore. Now it's really the FX9 and
Yeah,
FX6, which is
Yeah.
what I own. So that, and I brought my FX6, my fully kitted out, package, so that I could show them.
Nice.
I had that built so I could show them, like, this
Nice.
is, again, nothing against, the Canons or whatever, but it was kind of like a little bit of a mishmash of gear. So I had to keep telling them, like, this isn't necessarily what you would be using there. If you bought a camera today and we're using it, like, most of the cameras, there are cameras that are more ergonomic and have better shoulder mounts, and like, so it's tough to teach with a camera that's not really designed for the shoulder. And then, that's the hardest part. If your camera is not comfortable, it needs to be a part of you, feel like an extension of you, so that you're not thinking about it. I'm trying to teach this, but then putting this tank on their shoulder that's kind of like really weird and awkward. I'm like, but it was fine, and I gave them all a chance to have my camera. There was one student in particular who's shooting in the middle of shooting her own documentary. She ended up, the last day, she just used my camera, and I was
Oh,
Oh, that's
fun.
happy to
great.
let her
That's
use
great.
it. And it was just like, oh my God, this is so much better. Like, it's just, when you have a camera that's designed, it's for my shoulder, and
Yeah.
you can adjust things and make it
Yeah.
fit just right. That's the idea. But yeah,
I was gonna ask you, as a DP or even as a camera op, and I know that the answer gets a little different for the DP, but do you get to decide if you use a shoulder mount or, let's say, like a Ronin, one of these stabilizing devices? Like, who decides that? Is that decided in pre-production, like the look of the show, or is it something you decide on set? Who gets to decide that?
yeah. I mean, it's not really. I mean, I guess it's part of pre-pro. We'll talk about, like, the show I'm doing right now. Right, it's HGTV, so there's certain tropes, like, right away, I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna have aerials, right? So we're gonna have a drone. There's gonna be walkthroughs of a space, so it makes sense to have a gimbal. And then obviously we're gonna have, cross coverage and traditional coverage. So really, the short answer is, it's kind of, you get all the tools for the job, right? I know what I'm not gonna use, right? We might have a conversation like, oh, the interviews, we wanna have the second uh, we want a second angle on a dolly, so then I'll have to bring a dolly or a slider, and or we want slider moves. But, like, yeah, became pretty clear. It's like, okay, well, we're going to use these tools, and these tools are going to accomplish what we need. So typically it would be all of those things, right? You wouldn't just use one or the other. You need to have different tools for different parts of that job. And I'll sometimes, I'll be using one, and I work out with my AC and my cam op, we'll do these walkthroughs in spaces, and I'll come up with a shooting plan. So we are leapfrogging, constantly, but I have as little stop downs as possible. And I'll sometimes be shooting, I'll be on my Ronin, and my AC is standing right next to me with my camera, and I'll just swap,
Oh,
hand
wow.
that to him, and I'll put the big camera on my shoulder when I know it's right. Again, different tools for different jobs,
Yeah.
even within the same scene. It's like, okay, I can't.
That's cool.
Yeah, like, they're gonna walk into this room. Going through this tube is really cool on the Ronin, but then once they're in, then they're gonna get into to a crosstalk situation where I need two cameras on matching lenses doing the cross coverage. So
Yeah.
that's when I'll make that kind of switch.
That's
So
so
yeah,
cool.
it's
Yeah.
like partly my decision, partly the showrunners. It's usually collaborative. It kind of depends on the show. Right, some showrunners are more collaborative, or know what they want. If it's becomes obvious, like, well, like, whatever you think, then great. I'll bring what I think is right. Um,
Yeah.
but sometimes I have showrunners who have a very specific aesthetic, and they understand visuals, and they know what they want. So it's either way works for me. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool.
That's
Yeah.
fun. Man, as soon as I shot with that Ronin, I was like, it's so in love with that camera and that look that I never wanted to not use it on any set I was on. I was like, this, I love motion with motion, when
Yeah.
you're going this way and that way. And I learned that a long time ago from Jeff Zwart. I don't know if you know him. We did a lot of car
Sure. Yeah.
footage. He was the Porsche guy, and we did a lot of car stuff, and that's what he showed me. He's like, don't shoot it static. Like, always, like, you have action, you move it, you treat it with action. So it was like a car coming this way and you going that way. And it was just like, oh, yes, I love that. It's such an active frame that the viewer doesn't even know. They don't really realize, but they're so engaged because it's just motion. That's why the F1 show is phenomenal.
Yeah,
Love
it kind
that.
of never stops. And they do, right, those kind of, when they're leading them, that's on the gimbal, which is great.
Yes,
but then then they switch to regular
switch it
cameras.
Up. Yeah.
I just worked with the 4D, the gimbal is kind of the next step up. That's the same as those other, it's the DJI, and they make the other, the RS3 gimbals that you probably used to, but they do one where the camera's actually integrated, right? So that it's the camera body, and then they have the little gimbal arm on the camera like built in. So it's not like you're attaching a third party camera onto the gimbal. It's like the whole thing is there, and have a Z-axis, which is really the crucial part that takes the bounce out of your steps.
Right.
Which is something that those other gimbals don't have, right? It has this and it has tilt and pan, but it doesn't have a Z-axis. And we used it for these like oneers. Anyone out there's seen the show Adolescence on Netflix? It was a big deal. There were 1 hour oneers, and there was this amazing technical feat. They put it onto a drone, and they clicked it into the jibs, and it was a whole amazing thing. But we used that camera for this.
Is that like the Birdman with what's his name? What is his name? The actor
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton. That shot in Birdman that just went on for how many minutes? I don't even know. It was like a forever.
Yeah, they hid some
that was unbelievable.
wipes in there, but it's the same thing in Children of Men.
Amazing.
This was a TV show that was actually oneers. Like they didn't wipe. They didn't do it. There were no cuts. They would do, I think 11 takes a day, and 11. Each episode was 1 hour continuous.
Wow.
They would just go through the whole take, and if something the operator bumped into a wall, like, all right, back to one. I mean,
wow,
it's crazy. There's a lot of great BTS out there for that, but that's another tool again. That's like gets you even more stability, and like we were doing handoffs between two operators, like it's really. It's pretty amazing. There's some pretty amazing tools out there that you can bring on every show that won't break the budget, right? They're pretty line producer friendly, and they bring so much production value.
I love that line producer friendly.
yeah.
Gotta have gear that's line producer friendly.
I mean, think about like there used to not be an aerial budget. I mean, you have to be in a helicopter if you were gonna have aerials, right? Like now it's like you can or big drones. Now it's like, I mean, my little drone, it's like this big. It's amazing. I'm shooting 4K aerials. Like
it's incredible.
I can be ready to go in a minute. Like, oh, time to do some aerials. Okay, great. I'm like literally in under a minute, I can have this thing in the air and get you everything you need. It's pretty great. It's pretty great.
Yeah, because a helicopter was like $5,000 an hour or even more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy. I mean, that was back in the Survivor days. They had 2 helicopters standing by at all times. They would go into rural areas and build helipads.
Whoa.
Like Army Corps of Engineers would come and build roads and build like a whole camp, and then like docks for all the boats and 2 helipads. There was one for aerials and one for medevac. It was like, I mean, good Lord, the amount of money we have back
now
there.
You just need a little, now you just need a little $1,000 drone and you're good to go. Wow.
That's pretty wild. It's wild.
So
the money was just back then was just incredible.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's a good change though. Honestly, like, those are ways in which I'm like, okay, this is money better well spent. Like you don't have to have 2 helicopters sitting there and like the budget and like gas and the fuel and all. It was like, come on. Yeah.
So do you have the teaching bug now? Do you want to teach more? Or are you going to stick with camera work or?
Yeah, interesting. As people have been asking me that, I think, I mean, Will was already asking me, he was pitching new class ideas for me. It's like, oh, we think about doing a class where we do like a survivor camera class, right?
Oh.
Where like you learn how to shoot out. So he was pitching this class where you mix kind of survival skills and camera work. So you go out and camp for a few days out in the wilds of Maine and learn how to shoot nature or like survival shows. Um, and that's I mean like that's great, and I've done that, right? So I could certainly I would be capable of teaching that course, but it's there's a lot involved there. But yeah, I think if certainly if I was asked to do this course again, nonfiction cinematography, I would do it. And now that I have the willies out of my system, and I know the presentation part of that is kind of taken care of. Yeah, the rest of it's very very manageable. So yeah, I mean, look, part of it is like, oh, is that my kind of is that my like exit out of this?
Your
If I
career
need
directory
to,
trajectory.
I don't know, right? I love doing what I do. Like I would have a camera on my shoulder until I was 75 if I could. I loved shooting.
Yeah.
Hey,
So it's not like I want out.
Al Maisels shot till he was like in his 80s or something.
Yeah,
I would see
yeah.
him pop
I
out of the
mean,
subway in New York with his little handheld camera. Literally, I was
really,
like, oh my gosh, that's Al Maisels. And he is
that's
just
amazing.
walking around New York with his camera always. He was always with his camera. And he,
That's incredible.
yeah, yeah. And now you can. You can.
That's a good New York sighting, actually. It's really
Oh,
good.
I've worked with Al on the
Oh, really?
Gates, the HBO Gates. It was amazing.
Wow. Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but so that was a real thrill in my early career to
I
be a
believe it.
camera person for his show. But yeah, you'd run into him in New York and just popping off the subway, just little camera tucked under his arm and just
Yeah.
filming.
Wow.
Wow. I was gonna say, Jeremy, like you were saying though, I feel like, at least for me, like those who can't do teach. And so for me, I've been asked to do a couple teaching things at the local college, like just weekend things. I'm like, no, I don't teach. I still do. But
Yeah.
with the economy the way it is, right? Like now it's like, please call and ask if I want to come and teach that. So I'll come and teach that.
Well, it's funny because
Yeah.
that exact saying has been my saying for so long. I mean, we were saying it in film school.
Yeah.
We would kind of like, on the side to our about our film professor, like,
Exactly. Yep.
yeah, whatever. Like
Yeah.
he's never really made a movie. I mean, he made like a short, he actually made a feature horror film that was, whatever, it was small doings, but
Yeah.
it was always has been the stigma of it for
Yep.
me
Yep.
for the last
That's
25, 30 years.
yeah.
And
Me too.
so, yeah, I've resisted it. I think it's
Yeah.
part of why I resisted it last time. But I'm like, no, the opposite's true for me now. Like
Yeah.
when you get to, if you're young and you're doing it,
Yeah.
maybe, but I've done it, right? I have nothing to prove in that regard, right? I've done it in every continent in this world,
Yeah.
like you name it, I've done it. So I don't like, why not share that, right? Why not teach and like share some of my experiences and my experience. It's not.
But maybe
It's
it's
right
just,
now. It feels like a good, like that's an okay place for me to be.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like the world's view on it too has changed, like with masterclass,
Oh
YouTube,
yeah.
and all
Yeah.
these things, right? Like it's the cool kids teach, and that now you're sharing that wealth of knowledge, and somebody that's been, uh, somebody that's had the career that you've had, like it's you teach, you share that, and I think the world's changed its view on it, but like I said, for me, all the years back, it's like you said, you look at that teacher and like, well, I've done more than that teacher has,
Right.
but now I think that the worldview has changed on it, and the students are lucky to have you, and it's cool that you're out doing that.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think it can complement your career too. Like you said, it's not something you don't have to trade camera work for teaching if you teach in these workshop capacities, because then it sounds like it was very fulfilling, and you even learned where the new button was, so you're learning too.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
it
so
was
I
definitely it felt like
it's
an ancillary experience for me. And it's
yeah,
like, oh, it's
like
not gonna take over, but I can
right,
weave
like
it in.
it's
I can weave it in. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, and the students, can benefit so much from all of your knowledge and experience, and you can't get that anywhere. How many, right? What countries and states have you been in? What's your travel stats?
I mean, all 50 states, 43 countries, I think, and all 7 continents.
Wow,
So
that's pretty
Nice.
cool.
yeah. And like worked on the 7 continents, not just tourism,
Yeah,
not just not just vacations.
You put the
yeah,
Jeremy flag in
yeah,
Antarctica, so there you go.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
And I've
yeah,
been to Brazil with you, and uh,
yeah.
where else were we? We were in Peru. Wait,
Peru,
no, yeah, we were in Peru.
Peru. Yeah,
Wow.
That's right.
yeah. I think one of 3 or 4 times I've been there. Which, it's special. I mean, the travel part of this whole job is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but like if I'm not in a hotel room every X number of days, I'm like, I almost kind of feel like I'm not at home. you know, because that's what this
yeah.
job has been, right? You're gig to gig out of a suitcase. There's been so many times I don't even unpack my suitcase when I get home. I'm just come home and leave it in the corner and grab it for the next trip. And,
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, there was a point where I was traveling so much, and I was in different hotel rooms all over the country that I would literally wake up and not know where I was, and I would have to look at the call sheet and say, okay, I'm in Virginia, and like it was like crazy for a little bit there. That was just like nuts, and I kind of don't miss that. I like my bed. I like being home. It's, I
I like
mean,
both. I like both. It makes
I
me
don't miss the
appreciate home
Hampton
more.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's still they're still the same. That's literally what I'm doing. I was literally in Hampton Inn yesterday,
Yeah, I know.
and doing the
That's
same kind of thing where it's like just road trip, and it's every night at a different hotel, and it's like I wake up, and I'm like, wait, and it's still dark outside because it's pre-dawn call, and it's like, where am I again? Oh, right. It's like my brain has to catch up with where, yeah, I don't
see.
know. It's like,
Oh, good. I'm
it's,
glad it's not just me.
yeah, but there's something, I mean, with Sean, it's like, it just feels right.
Yeah.
Like we're
Yeah.
so used to it.
Yeah.
I think of all the hotels. I wish I kept track of like every hotel I've been in. Every like, I had a friend, Anna Haynes, in this business, who would collect her. She'd keep her hotel room keys
Oh wow.
to just, just like
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, hundreds, right? Like over her career. It's just like, yeah, if I could imagine like how many days of my life I've spent in hotels,
Yeah.
A
it'd
lot.
be crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But there's something about it. I don't know.
Well, Jeremy, it's been so wonderful talking to you, and we'll have to do this again. We'll have a Jeremy catch up on your next show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah. I would
love
love
that.
to.
You guys aren't sick of me by now, but yeah,
No. No.
No,
No.
I
never.
love it.
No. And
The
thank you
master
so
Jeremy
much.
masterclass.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time and coming back and
Yeah,
doing this. And sorry about that
absolutely.
glitch. And
Not at
uh
all. This was a pleasure. It
yeah.
was really great talking to you guys.
And no,
Awesome. Well,
thank you so
thank
much.
you.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
See ya.
Bye.